Welcome back to the RageSelect podcast right here on RageSelect. I'm Jeff.
Hi, I'm Bryce.
Hey, Bryce. It's nice to have a regular podcast. I've been stuck in like the Summer Games Fest for the last couple of weeks. So,
you know what's funny is I was getting ready for, or I was preparing for today, and I thought, oh, there must be another Games Fest because you had me watch a Nintendo thing.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, there must be a bunch more that he just said, don't even bother watching.
Don't even bother. One 15-minute Nintendo video. Bryce, I have 5 spreadsheets with color coding to keep track of Summer Games Fest. It was a nightmare. It's a lot of video games, and there was some good stuff. And I think that it works better when you make a spreadsheet because you just find like the 25 things that you were really interested in, as opposed to watching hours and hours and hours of like multiplayer extraction shooters and farming simulators and cozy idle games. And you're like, no, I like that one and that one and that one. But no, Nintendo came out to give us a look at the Donkey Kong, and we were going to get into that. But before we go there, Bryce, right before we started recording, I watched a brand new movie that I think you might like. I don't know. I'm taking a stab here.
Take it. Stab me.
We're recording this on Friday.
Stab me!
Today on Netflix, we got K-pop Demon Hunters. Are you familiar? I think that nobody knows that this was a thing. So,
okay. Give me the elevator pitch on K-pop Demon Hunters, because this did not cross my plate.
So, K-pop Demon Hunters is a Netflix thing that's made by Sony Pictures.
Is this one of these like celebrity game shows, or is this like civilians? Is this a game show?
This is by the Spider-Verse people. This is like a fully narrative, fictional thing.
It's like CG.
Yeah, it's CG. It's made, I think, by a lot of the people that worked on Spider-Verse. It's about 3 ladies who are in a K-pop band, but they're like, long ago, there were demons, and only 3 K-pop singers could seal them all away. And then throughout all of human history, there have been 3 K-pop singers who sing the demons away. And now this current group, they're running up against their greatest challenge yet, which is a K-pop boy band made of demons who have now come to challenge them for the souls of humanity. And it's goofy and it's silly and it's really well animated and maybe you laugh out loud a few times. Don't get me wrong. The plot of this thing is as slight as humanly possible. Like, you could see what's coming from a mile away.
You just described like a dozen Disney Channel movies just with all of the nouns changed around. Like,
yes.
I see what's happening here.
The combat is like, the action scenes are fine. There's a lot of really catchy K-pop songs. The story is it's fine.
You're really giving me the hard sell on this.
Well, it's 90 minutes worth of an original, like
it's only a movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 90 minutes long. It's well animated. It's got some nice gags in it. As I said,
those boys are hot.
If you've watched,
you could say it. The boys are hot.
If you watched, the boys are hot. The boys are hot. If you watched any K-pop, if you've watched any movie ever, like, you're gonna know where this is going, like, by about halfway through.
Because you can both do the like music competition face off, but then also they can have a big battle at the end.
Yes.
You've got the trailer. You've got like a PowerPoint presentation of the trailer playing right now.
Yes.
And they're giving us the entire movie.
Yes.
There's a fight on a plane. There's a fight in an arena. Like, they're eating instant noodles. Like, put it all together. It's a DIY joke.
Yep. So it's It was fine. It was very enjoyable. If you've got Netflix and you've got 90 minutes, like, it had some catchy songs. Again, it wasn't exactly the most emotionally deep thing I've ever seen in my life. But the thing that was weird to me is that I just feel like no one has heard of this. Like, no one knew that this was a thing. And
brother, the trailer you've loaded up has 3 million views.
Well, okay, nobody that I know seems to have heard of this. I don't know, 3 million views ain't shit on YouTube on Netflix's channel.
Brother, look at some of Netflix's shittier trailers.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I got shit. So, okay, cool. So that came out today.
Yeah, that came out today. And again, it made me legitimately laugh a few times. The 3 girls, they have nice, kind of geeky personalities. And,
is it Korean original language? Is it English original language?
It is English. It is full on English. I mean, the songs, I'm not super familiar with K-pop, but the songs, like, they were partially in English, and then there was obviously some Korean stuff that was coming in there. There was a lot of references to stuff from Korean culture. And I'm not entirely sure, like, the mythology. They got the guys with the weird pilgrim hats, the demons with the pilgrim hats. Like, I don't know if that's a legit thing that happens. But anyway, it was all just like these hats, these guys right here.
Oh, okay, yeah. Just minus the buckles. It's kind of a Pharrell. No, the Pharrell hat was more like an Arby's hat. This is like a buckle hat.
Yeah, but it was a good time. It was a good time, which is great because I've been watching. I watched The Accountant 2 last week, and I was like, well, that was acceptable. Like,
I guess the math checks out on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
interesting.
I had to watch something because I've been playing replaying Death Stranding like a crazy person because the next one comes out next week, and I forgot everything that happened in the first one. So,
and I think you didn't. Did you even beat the first one? I thought
yes.
Maybe you didn't even. Oh, okay.
Several times.
Several times. Why did you? Okay, we can't get into that.
What about you, Bryce? You said you've been checking out a new game.
Yeah, I've been cycling through games a little bit lately, but I saw this. What's interesting with all of these summer fests is it means that there are more demos out. But I don't play the demos. I don't love playing games that are unfinished, which is what a lot of these are. And but it's meant that more folks had played this in pre-release, and so I ended up watching a lot of the slow clap video game Rematch. All right, Jeff, picture this. All right.
Okay.
Rocket League. You got Rocket League. But
sure.
Instead of cars, you have human people. And instead of a huge 5-foot ball, you have a soccer ball-sized ball.
Uh-huh.
And that is the end of the imagination. How did you do?
That sounds ridiculous. Are there any is there demons? Is there K-pop?
They look a very strong K-pop aesthetic going on. No, it is a little like it's unfortunately glib to say it's Rocket League, but it's but for soccer.
Yeah.
But that is what the arcade soccer experience looks best as, which is 3v3 or 4v4 or 5v5 in a fully enclosed arena. You don't have to deal with offsides. You basically have a backboard on the goal post.
Yeah. So
it means everything's really frantic. I've only been playing the 3v3 games, but those are like 6 minutes or so, and they go by fast. I think there's good customization options. Like they're kind of in this launch period where like it doesn't have crossplay yet, and some of the net code is it's a little bit. It's a popular game right now. I don't know if you know this. It's the world's game.
Yeah.
But it's got a lot of the big like mega structure aesthetics of Rocket League. You can be playing soccer in a huge custom built coliseum or under fucking water for some reason.
Well, the thing I've been curious about is because I know that it's slow clap, so that's Sifu and Absolver, and I thought that like the question I have is it looked from the trailers like they might have been injecting a little bit more complexity. Like, are there like stances? Are there different? I mean, is it just because when I think of soccer, a lot of times it's like pass shoot, like defense. But like I see in the trailers when I was originally saw it announced, it seemed like there was a little bit more, like there could be more complexity in like ball handling and passing and like different modifiers to make the game a little bit more, bit deeper than just
Yeah, absolutely. Like at most any point, you can just kind of free stick run around, but it's left trigger to kind of go into a defensive stance where you're kind of strafing. That way you're a little more able to pick up passes, but then also that's your dribble kind of trigger, so you also can hold that while you're lining up shots or moving the ball down at a normal speed. But then if you want to be sprinting, then it's slower to sprint while you're dribbling, so you actually have to hit X to kind of tap the ball. So because you're then the ball is it's just it's part of the tutorial that it's faster to do that. So then there's tapping, but then there's also ground passing, which is on square, but then there's also lob ground passing, which is where you hold R1 and then square. But then there's also in air like shots on goal, and that's a right trigger. That's a whole right trigger hot shots tennis thing where you're holding down the button, holding down right trigger to charge it. The left stick is doing spin.
Okay.
Your right stick is aiming like this. Like
okay, so that answers my question. Yes, very much so.
Hold on, because I mean what I'm describing is the control screen of the game,
right.
But I don't think it is any more complicated than the control screen of fucking Grand Theft Auto. Like,
sure,
there's a dribbling mode, there's a defensive mode. It's not it blends. What I'm saying is that it blends very well for what is basically seems like a first time game in the genre. That you get. I'm still having to learn the controls. I played probably about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours of it.
Yeah,
and I'm still trying to pick up the controls because I will say it is a little complex. I've had to do the tutorials and the practice games that they've got, which are good though. There's also good like little education bits.
Yeah.
So it's the world's game, and it doesn't mean it's easy, but it's really neat. I think if you are interested in that, like playing with randos, or if you play these games with if you have friends and you play Rocket League or anything, it's it captures all of that very well while being a arcade soccer game that still has tactics.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like I don't know. I mean, I only played a little bit of Rocket League. I'm sure that Rocket League gets much more complicated as you get better and better at it. That you get it. I was never any good at it in the first place, so I gave up real quick. I was just like, meh.
And I think like Rocket League has been around forever, and at no point have I ever thought like, oh, okay, that game, I can play that game now because they got rid of like mid-air ball handling. Like
right.
At no point am I ever going to touch the ball in the middle of the fucking air.
Right.
And so like it's kind of funny that Rematch, has this huge the same size of an arena as Rocket League because the ball's never going up in those corners right now. But it does mean that you have a wall that you can bounce off of, and people are doing interesting techniques to take advantage of that geometry.
Okay, well, I'll definitely have to take a look because I know it's on Game Pass, right? So,
okay, I picked it up on the PlayStation.
Yeah, it's on all the platforms, but Game Pass has it on the PC and the Xbox. So,
and also, it sounds like they're still working out some kinks. There's not crossplay.
Yeah,
it's not perfect. Give them some time.
Yeah,
but Rematch. I think it's pretty cool.
All right, check it out. Well, let's see. Speaking of stuff that looks pretty cool, let's talk about the donkey. Let's talk about Donkey Kong Bonanza, because we got a full-on 15-minute or 17-minute direct on Donkey Kong Bonanza. Bryce, do you find yourself generally in this world to be pro-Donkey Kong, anti-Donkey Kong, or neutral Donkey Kong?
I think that I have a weird time with this positioning of Donkey Kong as a neutral / semi-positive character, because I think you look at like Jumpman and he's like King Kong, he's like the bad guy. Even here his only character trait is liking bananas. They say it like 4 times in this video.
Yep.
So I feel it's like he's fine. He's not my type of character, but I know some people like him.
Yeah, I've never been the biggest Donkey Kong. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Donkey Kong Country, just because I preferred the Mario games, so it never was a thing that I really got into, and that's pretty much been it up until this one. Like, that's mostly been your single player Donkey Kong outside of Smash Brothers and Mario Kart.
You didn't
tennis
do Tropical Freeze. You never got into.
I mean, we played a lot of those for RageSelect, but it's like I never felt the need to keep playing them. They weren't my jam. If I wanted a side scroller, I didn't really like the way that they worked as side scrollers, so there was other games that were for me.
And there was always like some weird like connection with Rare that meant that Nintendo's always been weird about Donkey Kong anyway.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the weird things watching this is like this is Nintendo's Donkey Kong for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I think that like probably there's a lot to go into here, but the biggest thing was probably because I think they showed this little rock monster when they originally talked about the game, and then in this trailer they're just like, oh yeah, that rock monster is like
Pauline.
Lil Pauline.
Yeah.
who we'll get into it, but like, there's a lot of questions involved with like, wait, what? Pauline, like the lady that was at the top of the thing, and Donkey Kong.
The one you fucking King Kong'd.
The one on the side of the box that he's carrying up the girders, like that. Okay, all right, cool. All so right. Yeah, Donkey Kong is down in the depths of weird Kong land, even though every level still has like a skybox on it, and they're like, yeah, you'll go down to level 4, and it's like, but there's still a sky.
Fucking. That was the last King Kong movie. I watched that King Kong movie.
The Hollow Earth.
They're just
cashing into the Hollow Earth.
It's going to end with Mothra. I know it.
Wait until Mecha Donkey Kong comes out.
No, that's Mecha Bonanza Donkey Kong.
Mecha Bonanza, yeah. So yeah, I mean, the big thing here is that it appears that they have caught up with 1992's Red Faction. With
come on.
You can destroy anything. The bananas have been taken away. Pauline wants to get to the center of the earth for some reason. You got to go on an adventure. Third person action platformer where you can destroy the environment. There's a bunch of powers. Yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe this segment's going to be like 3 minutes long.
I don't know why this video was. I don't know why this video was 17 minutes long. Like, yeah, it's a cool thing for one game, and it got me a lot of detailed information about the power ups and the different levels in the game. But I mean, it looks cool. Like, it's. I like a 3D platformer. I like a collectathon. It seems like the power-ups are cool. Red Faction is like a uniquely accurate description of this in like a very good way.
Yeah.
I don't know. It helps that it's out pretty soon, I guess.
I mean, the fact that the Switch 2, like, it's one of the original things for the Switch 2, right? As opposed to like a lot of the just re-releases. Yeah. I mean, I gotta be honest with you. This is the second time I've seen this, and it doesn't do a lot for me. Like the environments are a little generic, like, especially, I don't know if it's just I've gotten spoiled by modern games, but like everything is just kind of made of like this weird rock texture. Like there's just it looks like half finished almost to me. Like it's obviously there because you can destroy anything, so it's got to be a little bit more loose, but by the same token, it doesn't, the world itself has very little character to me. Like, I think that when I look at like a Mario game, if I look at like a Yoshi game, if I look at a Kirby game, that the environments in those games have a lot more, I don't know, just kind of personality, whereas everything here seems to be a different colored blob of destructible thing that you can pick up and throw. And while that's kind of interesting, it's like, I don't know. I mean, I think that adding Pauline is an interesting thing because you at least have a character that has like a human face and maybe wants to do something. She wants to be a singer.
Finally, we have an exposition mouthpiece.
Right.
Just what we were missing.
Right. I mean,
she can sing. We're doing the Little Mermaid.
And also there's an evil corporation that sealed up all of the diamond bananas for some reason.
Yeah. But also they're monkeys. What's up with that?
I don't know. There's a lot.
I hear what you're saying, but I also think that there is a certain amount of consistency in the visuals. Like, I think that's maybe why they're doing this narrative idea that all of these different levels are, layers within the surface of the planet. Mm-hmm. So that, it needs to be very rocky because you're going to be destroyed. The other game that we're comparing this to is fucking on Mars, a big red rock. Like, come on.
It's true.
So I see what you're talking about because I was watching this and feeling like, oh, maybe I do feel like I'm almost supposed to get like a Breath of the Wild kind of feeling out of this. Mm-hmm. Like these are pretty open worlds. You have a lot of abilities and a lot of like, he can turn into different forms and collect money somehow. Like not just gold pieces, but with a sense sign, with like an actual sense counter.
Yeah. You got to buy those outfits. You got to buy those different fur colors and the dresses for Pauline. You know.
And that's how you pay. You pay for those transformations, the bonanzas with gold.
Yeah, yeah. We should point out that for anybody that hasn't seen it, that there's like they've shown that there's kind of these multiple like giant power transformations where you turn into. I mean, you know, the first one was like an even bigger monkey, but there's like a zebra one where you can run faster. There's an ostrich one where you can fly. So I mean, yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where it's very much a fully featured video game. Like, there's nothing in here that looks wrong. I guess that's I don't know, not to get like metaphysical, but like the thing about it, or existential, but the thing about it is that over time I've had to learn that it's like, you know, some video games are for me and some video games aren't for me. And I feel like a lot of times when everybody is very excited about a thing and then I look at it and I go like, why am I not more excited for this? And then I feel the need to justify myself because I'm on the internet and all this nonsense. But
it looks neat. I like as a collectathon, it makes me interested.
Yeah.
Because it seems like they have a lot of different abilities and a lot of different ways to interact with these spaces.
Yeah. It kind of, you know, for a minute there, it was kind of giving me like some kind of ukulele vibes almost. Like
I was just thinking like a ukulele.
Getting
like,
towards the ukulele. Banjo-Kazooie.
A Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah.
If we want to like go lineage-wise. Like, yeah. I mean, I don't have too much more for this other than like, are we... Hey, Jeff.
Yes.
Hey, Jeff, really quick.
Hey, Bryce, what's
really
up?
Quick about this. I don't know if you've been seeing the news lately, but Donkey has a friend who is not doing super well. In the court of public opinion. And isn't it weird that that Donkey Kong's got a new little buddy? Donkey Kong's got a brand new little buddy on his shoulder for this title.
Oh my God! I just put it together. Okay,
we got Cranky Kong, we got Donkey Kong,
right.
We got the little rhino guy, but we got a brand new Pauline. It's shiny, brand new. Don't you love your baby Yoda, Pauline?
I don't. Like that would have had to have happened like a long time ago, given the amount of animations that are in here. But I don't know. Maybe
I'm not saying they just added Pauline, but we don't see any of the other other Kong.
That's true. That is very true. Yeah.
So weird. What a fucking weird. This is like the second Nintendo Switch 2 game.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's
so weird, but it's cool.
It's very weird. There's like eels that take you places. You teleport to places. And
the Banandium gems.
The Banandium. There's all kinds of banana monkey puns, and like I don't know. I'm gonna keep my powder dry for Metroid. I think
You should. I think you would like this game. I bet you would play this on. I think we would play this for a RageSelect video.
Yeah,
and then you'd be like, I don't know. I would throw some music on and just chill out with this or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Like recently, there just haven't been. Recently, when it comes to playing games, I found myself that nothing's been hooking me, and stuff like this. I don't know. I find there's too many games out there. But anyway, I don't know. It looks like, again, I've always maintained that even if Nintendo makes a game that I'm not super into, because I'm not a big Yoshi Kirby guy, and they make a lot of those, this still looks like a very good video game. It looks like it's very well made. It's very well polished. It's got a lot of personality. It's got a lot going on. It looks like there's a ton of actions. There's different like challenge courses where you do old throwback 2D Donkey Kong Country levels and big ass bosses, and
the inclusion of old Donkey Kong music in this video overview was also really, really surreal. like why are you playing the DK rap right now after like 20 minutes of the weird thing that Nintendo is like to do in the Mario games where they dun 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 dun. They keep doing all these weird like weird. Like
yeah. Skill.
It's got skill tree.
Skill points. Your RPG leveling up Donkey Kong. You got the Banandium chips. Yeah, I don't know. It again. I think it looks fine. It's also got 2-player co-op. Oh, that was interesting. It had. If you have a regular Nintendo Switch, it's got like you can be the second player on the original Switch, like without. And obviously the game is only on the Switch too, but there's like I forget what they call it.
It's game share.
Game share, yeah.
Game share stuff.
There's a little art mode where you can carve stuff out and make horrible busts of Donkey Kong.
I don't know why they spent so much time on this. Because every minute that they had a sculpting app on the screen, I was saying, they're going to make a lot of penises. You could show me Mario, they're going to make penises. Look at that pizza, they're going to make a penis.
Yep, that's exactly what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. When I went to E3, that's what they said. TTP. They give people. That's right. They give people the game, and it's how long until they make a penis out of it. So, but yeah, that's coming out next month on the 17th. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, I mean, if they had more games, they would be telling us about them.
That's true. I'm just waiting. Like I said, I'm just waiting for Metroid Prime 4 release date. I have a feeling it's probably going to be later in the year.
Wasn't that supposed to be a Switch game? Am I crazy? Wasn't that supposed to be a Switch game, that Metroid thing?
Yes, it's on both. It's on the Switch and Switch 2. But on the Switch 2, you can use the controller like a mouse to aim, like you're playing a first-person shooter on the keyboard. That
mouse technology is good. We did try that out on one of those videos. That mouse technology was good.
Yes. It was the only likable thing about the Welcome Tour, Nintendo Welcome Tour, that we kept getting hung up on. Let's see. I think the one thing the internet is worried about, as with everything, is, well, wait a minute. Pauline is like a kid, and Cranky Kong is there, and like Cranky Kong is the one who kidnapped Pauline when she was an adult, and he's old, but she's like 13, and like,
and I didn't see one barrel of lube anywhere in the trailer. So like, what's happening? So I'm looking for canon.
What's going on? And apparently, like, this was an article that I read that was just people getting into incredible, like, mind-bending leaps of logic about, like, is there a multiverse? Is this a time travel? Is it a full
there's
reboot?
a Donkey Kong timeline, a la the Legend of Zelda timeline, I believe.
Oh, good lord. So we don't really know yet. I don't know. What are you putting your money on? Who cares? I think that I don't think Nintendo cares about the canon of Donkey Kong. I'm just going to come out and say it. I think
it is? I think this is maybe an underspoken thing, but with Mario Odyssey from the Switch, and with the success of the Super Mario Brothers movie, which also featured Donkey Kong, designed a la this video game coming.
Sure.
I get the sense that like it benefits Nintendo to figure out the broadest metaphysical space that Mario and Donkey Kong and all of their friends can exhibit, so that when they make extensions to their theme parks and extensions to their movie franchises, that we can have all sorts of elder monkeys that rule under the ground. That's why he's not in the Mario games, because Mario's above the ground and on the moon.
Right.
This is on the inside of the Earth.
Sure. I myself am putting my money on a Metal Gear Solid 5 solution where at the end of Donkey Kong Bonanza, he has to build the scaffolding and become he sees like Pauline flirting with a young Mario and a young Jumpman, and he's like, the only way that I can make them happy is I have to become the villain, and so you have to do the management game where you build Outer Heaven, aka that big scaffolding, and then he goes up on the top. But like, Pauline knows he's actually a good guy, which is why when she becomes the mayor, she renames it to New Donk City, and because she's wistful about her old friend Donkey Kong before he was forced by the system to.
That's why the city's like that. It's actually out on the Seychelles. Yes, we broke it. We broke it.
And you guys missed that part in the trailer where Donkey Kong had the eye patch on, where he becomes Venom Kong. That's a whole different thing. Like, I have my own YouTube video to make. Actually, I need to go write all this down.
Writing down punished Pauline and circling it.
Primate Sends Frontiers. They're going out.
Dude. Kojima, hit us up.
That's right. We got a great game. You and Nintendo, we can make everything work.
At least Konami. We know we could get Konami to buy it.
Konami will do it. Konami will do whatever. Yeah, let's see. We had some more Nintendo news. There's some interesting stuff coming out with the Switch 2. This is an interesting article about how there's a new kind of like I don't know, the headline on this is like, Nintendo has a new hidden Switch 2 anti-scalper measure in Japan. So the interesting thing here is that Nintendo apparently, for any warranty service on the Switch 2, is going to require your original receipt as opposed to like a card in the box that's like your proof of purchase.
Oh, okay.
They're going to require your proof of purchase that has like your name on it. But then the strange thing is that one of Japan's secondary selling sites, one of their kind of eBay sites, Mercari, they just put forth a policy saying you are not allowed to send the receipt with a thing when somebody purchases it from
you can't pass the proof of purchase. Wow.
Yeah. And I don't know
that that's going to stop anybody from doing it, though.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't know. It's weird because there's also in this article, they talked a little bit about how the UK is probably going to do a similar thing where the terms of service say that like you need to be able to provide proof of purchase for the system. I mean, it's a little weird to me because I guess I just assume that I've never been asked for proof of purchase whenever I've had to do like I had a Switch where the battery ballooned up and was gonna explode, and I just talked to them and they were like, yeah man, just send it to us and we'll replace it.
Now that might be there may be a like with the battery thing, right? Like they wouldn't, my assumption is that if another battery thing happened, they wouldn't make people jump through these hoops because they would still like the reason like
the battery's a safety concern. They're not going to risk it.
Yeah,
they're going to replace every Switch.
It's a recall.
right.
But this is, I don't know, this seems surprising to me because I always kind of thought that these, warranty and repair services that, tech companies tended to offer, you still had to pay to get it done. But maybe that's just because I've never gotten to actually any covered repairs under warranty. Maybe that's the distinction here is something more than a dead limited warranty.
Yeah.
In case of lemons or something.
I mean, the Switch 2 and I think the Switch 1, they both had 24 months built in. So 2 years worth of warranty built in. The thing that I've always thought that's completely, I mean, that's just like to cover a manufacturing defect, right? Like
right. If you drop it, that's not going to change.
Right. But I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that every piece of technology I've ever owned that has a 2-year warranty breaks 2 years and 6 months into use. Like 2 years is not enough time for me to break computer hardware, or at least it hasn't been so far. So
well, okay, then get Nintendo's fucking Apple Care or something.
Yeah.
If that's where you're at, where you actually want protection for your device, then go for it. But that's those limited warranties. At least here in America, we're only used to limited warranties that don't cover anything other than defects.
Absolutely. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. This is a little weird though, because if this is an anti-scalping mechanism, I feel like it should be. They should put out a press release or like. You wouldn't necessarily know this until you had purchased your Switch 2 from a secondary source and then attempted to get it repaired, right? So if this is supposed to deter, you'd have to make people aware of that so that they didn't want to do it in the first place, as opposed to some niche article on a gaming website that I'm reading out. So
well, and also, I mean, that I was a little confused when you pulled up the story because I thought it was from. I guess around the time the Switch 2 came out, that these Japanese versions of the Switch are also like region locked to Japanese language and the Japanese Nintendo Network or something. Like they're a little cheaper in Japan, but you cannot get them to work in English.
Yes,
as a countermeasure, and so that's why this thing feels more piddly than that. So I agree that it's like I think it's just. I'm sure this is just them cheaping out on wanting to do repairs, honestly.
Probably. I mean, they also had the like anti class action thing in their terms of service that they put in after the whole Joy-Con thing, which you know what, let's jump the pack a little bit here and say which may be relevant, because a few people who have purchased the Switch 2 already seeing Joy-Con drift. Which, I mean, like, these aren't Hall effect sticks. I know everybody wants Hall effect sticks on devices so they don't have the possibility of drift. I don't think that I don't think that any of these companies are going to integrate more expensive Hall effect sticks onto their systems unless they are absolutely forced to, just because it's going to take more out of the bottom line of each individual unit. So
that must suck. I don't have anything else other than to say, like, it must suck, because my Switch eventually had a small amount of drift on one of the controllers.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a huge fucking bummer because I did not want to try to figure out whatever crazy DIY solution people would come up with to try to fix that, or deal with Nintendo and sending it back, and maybe they'll give me controllers in 2 weeks if they decide that they're not too scratched up. Or
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I had Joy-Con drift on my Pro controller, but I just took it apart and fixed it. But I don't know.
Better than me?
Let's see. Speaking of fixing stuff, well, actually, no. I should have had a better segue. Nintendo. So this was funny because were you on when we were talking about the story of the Switch 2 when they launched, how there were some GameStops that were stapling the receipt
I saw that, yeah.
directly into the screen on the box? Apparently, GameStop decided to get all cute and shit with it, and they put out a tweet that was an ad for a restock on the Switch 2, and it said, "Staples not included. Find a Switch 2 restock at GameStop today," with a stapler with the word "do not use" on the box written on it. We are looking at a picture of this because this tweet has been deleted by GameStop.
Is that even real?
I assume it is, but it was on there was like a link to a tweet that no longer exists on their Twitter feed. So I would assume, but
yeah, I mean, I guess GameStop, a lot of retailers have taken their social media strategy to turned it into, I'm going to be annoying online to everybody for no fucking reason.
Right.
So I guess it's not whatever. It's cute. They fucked up, but also like, come on, guys. And also, what made me think it was fake is, why the fuck is anyone advertising Switch restocks? People want this thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
People want this thing.
I don't know.
You wouldn't need to make it only makes sense in the fact that some social media team had to say, we need to come up with 20 posts today. Mm-hmm. Staples not included. Lock it in.
Maybe it's the fact that because of the way that previous consoles have been, that people just assume that the Switch is completely sold out all the time, and so you actually do have to push it a little bit to be like, hey, you can actually come buy one of these if you want, because as I understand it, they're supposed to have some pretty aggressive restocks going on. So maybe they're just trying to push back against, because I mean, GameStop needs every single penny that you will give to them right now. So
well, and that's true as a good counter that, like, hey, I like going and buying things in person because then I can get them in the same day, not 1 to 4 days later, maybe.
Yep. Well, you know what? Some GameStops may not have their restocks because there was also a giant robbery of Switch 2s. This is like 2,800 Switch 2s that were stolen out of the back of like a semi in Texas, like near. Or no, they were on their way to Texas, and the shipper stopped at a Love's gas station in Bennett, Colorado, and went to go check his haul and realized that it had been completely cleaned out, that they yanked all the pallets off. Said he didn't have any idea what he was transporting, and apparently they're still at large. I couldn't find any updates on this, so I'm just trying to figure out what you do with 2,800 Nintendo Switch 2s. Like, you have in your garage, and you're like, all right, we did it. What now?
And you would assume, Nintendo would be able to blanket, ban those consoles or something, or put some sort of flag on them.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not a fucking lawyer, Jeff. Why do you bring me on to talk about crime? I'm not a law lawyer.
I'm not a crime man.
I don't know the crime. I've never fenced anything. Fuck.
I don't know. I mean, like, I assume that they would try to sell these things, I don't know, maybe on the secondary market, but yeah, anyway, we'll see. We'll see if we get any updates on that.
Keep an eye out for $100 Nintendo Switch 2s on Discord.
Let's see. We also got the news that apparently some folks are having issues transferring saves between the Switch 1 and the Switch 2, which has resulted in a few somewhat heartbreaking stories from people. Specifically, apparently Pokemon is having a lot of trouble. And so the thing, I forget this sometimes, Bryce, but people have been like like transferring Pokemon from their GBA to their 3DS to their Wii to their Wii U to their Nintendo Switch 1, where it's like the same Pokemon that I named when I was an 8-year-old is now running around in Pokemon Scarlet as my main.
Well,
and that transfer process doesn't function because the thing about this that really was weird to me was apparently when they do the save game transfer, it transfers the save game from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2 and then deletes them off of the Switch 1. Like so,
yeah, because Pokemon is very weird about their like one slot thing. Yeah, okay. I mean, that sucks. That does suck. Especially because like. I'm sure some amount of that was facilitated by the paid Pokemon home service, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, cool. One of your best loyal customers you've ended up fucking over. Hopefully you can fucking fix this. But, hey, that sucks, man.
It does. It really does. I can't imagine having a linear consistency of one character that exists through... multiple generations of video games. Like that's just.
But it's not. But it's not. I mean, it's the Pokemon,
right?
Like it's literally just the Pokemon. I mean, I'm not.
I don't know. People get really emotional about their Pokemon, and they have a service we could pay. Look at this, $16 a year to store 6,000 Pokemon on a cloud server. What? That should be fucking free. Like you get 30 for free, and then if you want to go up to 6,000, you pay $16. Okay.
And then it doesn't store or back up the data for Pokemon games.
Nope. Just the Pokemon and their stats. I don't know.
That's I feel bad for people because obviously it does suck to lose, major, time investments, emotional investments. That really does suck.
Yep. And then last up on the Switch parade, this is interesting because that the community has had to do this. So this is pointed out that there's a Reddit post from somebody by the name of WTF am I doing with my life? That is a list of like tested Switch 1 games on the Switch 2. These are ones that don't actually have official patches with explanations of like, is there any kind of enhancement to this? Like, because Nintendo, has a compatibility list, but they don't have a list of like the details, right? So, AI, the Somnium Files now runs in 60 FPS on handheld mode. And it's like, oh, okay. Which I think is useful because at launch, like the only Switch 1 games, I think the Zelda patches were out. And like it was widely known that Scarlet and Violet Pokemon were better, but like there hasn't been this kind of comprehensive list that goes through and tests a bunch of stuff and tells you whether it's just like, some of these just say improved loading time. So it's like, some will tell you whether they're 60 FPS or there's better performance or whatever, but some of them are just like, slightly improved loading times and stuff like that, which I think is interesting because there's a lot of Switch games. I was very curious when the Switch 2 came out about like, well, what kind of enhancements do my old Switch games have and which one should I go back and look at? I installed Bayonetta 3. It ran at 30 frames per second. I deleted it and I said, I hate you. And then what?
I mean, it's cool to see that there are games that, just by the way that, they were the last state that they were in, that they can get something out of the extra hardware of the Switch 2.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It doesn't seem like Nintendo's hanging a super heavy hat on the idea that, like, no, it's going to make all your older games better, because it won't. Like,
right. Well, but the thing is that it does in a lot of cases, just because of the way that the hardware works. Like a lot of games aren't getting enhancement. I mean, quote unquote enhancement, right? They're running at a better frame rate, or they look a little sharper, or whatever.
Yeah. But I get it's good that there's a list, but I mean, the circumstances around this are basically the same thing as a mistake. Like what we've seen with like the PlayStation and their Pro versions is that it tends to just be the games that were like left uncapped with like frames per second, or had like dynamic resolution that was actually able to account for more processing power.
Sure.
And then there were lots of games that got explicit pro patches, much like a lot of the games that Nintendo has talked about getting explicit enhancements. And so, I mean, it's good to see that there's a list here, but I think this puts this Nintendo Switch 2 in that same list with the PlayStation Pros of like, you know, it's great that these are here. It's good. It's good to have information.
Yeah. That's what that's basically what I was getting at. Was I like the I
caught myself sounding like I was poo-pooing something that doesn't hurt anybody, but
yeah, I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is just that I wish that this was something that was done more officially. I wish there was a more official.
No, they're not going to do it.
Well, yeah,
because they didn't set up Switch 1 games to do this. They haven't enabled the Switch 2 to do this en masse, which is why they've had to focus on patches. Like I get what you're saying. It would be cool if Nintendo wasted a lot of time to put a list like this together, but thankfully there are people on the internet who will pay Nintendo for the privilege to do so.
Well, there is that too. And yeah, that's all the Switch 2 news that we got. So you know what, I think we're gonna go ahead and take a break, but when we come back we have a bunch more news left to go, so stick around everybody, and we'll be back in just a minute. And we got a lot more news left to go, so I hope you are all ready for the news fire hose.
Only if it's new.
It's only if it's new?
Yeah.
News. So last week, Bryce, I don't know if you watched Sarah Bond make the weirdest announcement of all time about Xbox.
I missed that. Can you give me the once over?
So Sarah Bond came out to basically say, like, we're partnering with here's a quote: "I'm thrilled to share that we've established a strategic multi-year partnership with AMD to co-engineer silicon across a portfolio of devices, including our next generation Xbox consoles in your living room and in your hands." It was a lot of kind of like corporate speak, and it seemed to be like there seemed to be an implication here that there's another Xbox in development. Like, I don't know if they're doing like a Series X Pro, because I know that like 2 weeks ago we got the news that they had basically canceled their, because the biggest question of course is like, you know, they've got the ROG handheld that is basically just running Windows, so it's like it's a Windows version, it's going to run the Windows version of Xbox software, but there isn't like a portable, like the question is there going to be something that runs native Xbox and not just the things that are available via xCloud or on the PC that you can run natively on basically a Windows operating system console?
Okay.
But then this seemed to indicate that, I don't know, it was just like, yeah, there's going to be another, like AMD is working on new Xbox hardware, and it's like, oh, are you guys going to make an Xbox Series X Pro like this late in the cycle? Is I don't know. I guess maybe that's the first question. Like, if there was a new generation Xbox that was more powerful, as far as I understand it, Xbox sales have been kind of abysmal for the last few years.
Been weak. Yeah.
They pivoted to the Xbox Anywhere thing where they're like xCloud on your TV, play on your PC, here's Game Pass on your ROG Ally. So the idea of then going back to the well to go through the process of making a more powerful Xbox Series X seems like an incredibly bad idea to me, but I'm interested to know what you think about that.
I don't think that those two tacks are exclusive.
Yeah.
I think you can do both. You know, the rumor for a long time was, is Microsoft going to make a portable Xbox? And, you know, and then they had that presentation where they made it seem like, okay, maybe they're going to have partners make Xbox to handheld devices, but also those might just be PCs. But then people are wish casting of like, could the new Xbox run all of my Steam games and also my PlayStation 3 games? That was the Cell engine. They don't come, that the compatibility is not good. You know, like I wonder how much of this is people taking wishful thinking But we have seen Microsoft when they're behind the 8 ball, willing to like make things nice and convenient for users when their sales are tough. I mean, you mentioned that this is an Xbox campaign, but like, have we even seen that campaign bear fruit? Like, I know it was a marketing campaign that they executed, but what was that promoting? Just that Game Pass is on devices?
Well, I mean, to me, the way that it came off was, I know they had pushed xCloud onto, like, Samsung TVs can now run xCloud natively out of like their app store.
5 of them.
Yeah,
5 new TVs can do that. Yeah.
I know, but like I guess the whole thing was just the idea that like between xCloud and Game Pass and PC compatibility, that's like, oh, your laptop's an Xbox, your Xbox is an Xbox, your TV is an Xbox, your fucking cell phone is an Xbox. It's all a fucking Xbox. Play Xbox wherever.
Be my computer and my phone and my TV.
I don't know. Like, the thing, I guess the thing that's weird to me is that, like, and we can talk about the tech in a minute here, because I think that's also kind of interesting. But the thing that's weird to me is it feels like, following the news for as long as I have been, it feels to me like every 4 months Xbox gets scared and tries something new, and then 4 months into that they're like, okay, now we're scared of the thing that we just did. Let's try a different thing. Let's try a different thing. Yeah, exactly.
Which, I mean, Microsoft is a huge corporation. There are, career workers in there who you've got to come up with something. We need to be doing something this period. Like, this is an Xbox. I mean, that's why I'm so confused about that this is an Xbox campaign, because they made a huge hubbub about it, and I don't kind of know what the end result of that was. Like, it doesn't do me anything to think that my phone can play an Xbox games, because I already know that. I mean, if it's an educational thing, then as an informed consumer, I'm here to say I don't really feel like that part of my intellect is informing any of my purchasing or spending decisions.
Yeah. The idea, the ability to play xCloud games on your phone isn't like, ooh, better invest in this ecosystem. Toot sweet.
No, if Microsoft wanted to move the needle on what gets me to buy Game Pass, they would call you, Jeff, because you're the only reason I ever subscribed to Game Pass. That's how my financial motivation is driven. Do I need to record a co-op game?
That's it. In 4 months, the new Xbox campaign is going to be like, talk to Jeff. Yeah. Xbox, talk to Jeff. He'll tell you about it. He knows what's going on. Trust Jeff. He knows what's going on. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, this does, though, like, there's been a lot of rumors out there, because I know that AMD has been working on their latest FSR build that apparently runs quite a bit better than the last ones, and like the OG PS5 and the Xbox Series X all run on FSR because it's run via software, as opposed to, the Switch 2 is run DLSS. We got the pisser on the PS5 Pro.
That's right.
So, they are locking into that architecture. But then the weird thing is, like, it's so weird to hear this, like, wow, we've made a strategic partnership with AMD, and it's like, your shit's already made by AMD. The last 3 Xboxes have been AMD powered systems. Like, I don't know. It'd be like me saying I made a strategic partnership with Taco Bell, and everybody's like, yeah, Jeff, you already have a strategic partnership with Taco Bell. You eat it twice a week. Like, you didn't need to announce it to us. Like,
I mean, I think you have it exactly right, which is, they probably signed some deal that said, I don't know, we're going to work on a piece of hardware again, right? Or at the very least, you're going to keep making us chips for the stuff we already make. Like, I can see it just being that, and Microsoft and AMD both being so big and needing to kind of push the needle a little bit to just say, we're gonna, we have a letter of intent to work with each other. Like, that's all I'm reading here.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's just, it was weird last week because I saw all these headlines that were like, is there going to be a new Xbox Pro? And then I went to click on them, and it was like, I don't know. Sarah Bond came out and said nothing for 10 minutes. Like, this wasn't the announcement of a new console.
So okay, like, let's break it down. Like, what is the new Xbox? What is the new Xbox? Do you want a new Xbox Pro console?
Like, I don't, because I spent $800 on a 4070 Ti to run all the Xbox games on my PC. Like, the Xbox Series X is the least powerful thing now in my entire little studio here between the Switch 2 and the PS5 Pro and my PC. I think that, like, the Xbox is probably the longest in the tooth when it comes to hardware, and it doesn't tend to be, like, incredibly well optimized. So, like, a lot of times I'll sometimes play a Game Pass game where I know the graphics don't really matter all that much, or it's a PC version that has problems. Then I might revert back to my Series X. If it's a Game Pass game that has serious PC problems but it runs a little better on the console sometimes. But then the idea of being asked this far in, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like the same as the PS5 Pro, where it's like we launched this generation and everything ran like ass, and like 7 years into this generation, here's something that can actually run Starfield at 60 frames per second. Like, sure.
Do you think? Gosh, okay. I'm gonna say this. Maybe we're thinking this. And especially because everyone's wish casting anyway.
Yeah.
Like, is this potentially the start of a shift within Microsoft that Xbox is a fine brand. Xbox is great to be Microsoft's gaming brand, but guess what, folks? You no longer are allowed to have a platform or the Xbox OS, whatever you're doing. Fuck it. You are making Windows devices now. You are getting people to make software for Windows. Like, just because of this being a downturn of a generation for Xbox, I can see that because I think that solves a lot of problems for consumers. The wishful thinking that people have that the next Xbox will also just run your Steam games and run your Epic games and fucking connect to Apple or something. Like, I guess you would do that if they were just PCs under there. If there was no longer I mean, they've been saying that the Xboxes run on a version of Windows anyway.
Yeah.
We've been seeing a lot of crossover with Game Pass and Game Pass for PC. Just fucking make them PCs at this point. I mean,
yeah,
people are so like mad about exclusives now.
Yeah.
Like, despite the fact that this is the given trade of publishing, is that you give the money so that you can hold on to a thing for at least a little while. People more than I've ever seen are specifically upset about exclusives. So much so that, like, they're not a thing anymore, right? Final Fantasy is multi-platform.
Sure.
Persona is multi-platform, and Yakuza's on everything. Like, it's I guess I gave 3 very specific examples, but
well, no, I mean, the entire thing is opening up, right? The entire industry is opening up, and part of that is probably due to Microsoft, right? Like, basically starting with the Game Pass being on both the Xbox and PC same day, same date, right? Like they've kind of cut that exclusivity cord to let the PC people basically into their ecosystem, and then starting to publish stuff on the PS5. That's also a thing that we're seeing more and more of. So I don't know. To me, it seems like Xbox. I don't know. I was very just confused about this because I don't know. Like, if there's a more powerful Xbox, is that going to draw people in? Maybe. I guess for me, it's just, it seems very late in the game for that to be starting on that. If you wanted an Xbox Series X Pro, that probably should have been in development several years ago and ready to go, kind of around the same time as like a PS5 Pro, mid generation refresh as opposed to 2/3 generation refresh.
And to hear Xbox executives talk about it over the years, like, the reason there was an Xbox Series S and a Series X was so that there would not be a mid-generation step up.
Yeah.
And
of course,
things change. I mean, that's a really confident thing to say if you feel like you're gonna move a bunch of these.
I guess the other thing to take into consideration, and we're going to move on from this because we don't spend a lot of time talking about nothing but, the other thing I was just thinking that I could just be getting completely wrong about this is that this could also just be the announcement of this is a strategic partnership to develop the Xbox that comes after the Series X. right? The Xbox Series Y or whatever it is. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. I wish they'd given me more out of this dumb announcement.
I can't wait for them to find a new way to say Xbox One.
Yes.
It'll be the Xbox Lone
Xbox
Solo
Extreme. That should the Xbox Series
Extreme Box. But this is not the one that streams games.
Look, all I'm saying, Bryce, is that eventually I just want Microsoft to become the new Sega, and I want them to do what Nintendo don't, and I want them to be like super radtastic with lightning bolts and sunglasses and leather jackets on.
We can do that for you.
One of the other things that I didn't realize that this was happening, but apparently Microsoft has also been slowly kind of getting out of the habit of publishing any kind of physical media for the games that they've been releasing. Like
actual box and disc copies of games?
Yeah. And this came up because the Outer Worlds 2 on the PS5 is going to have a disc with the game on it. And then on the Series X, it's going to have a code in the box for download. Like if you buy it. And apparently that's something that's been happening, like Ninja Gaiden 4 is getting a code in the box. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 is getting a code in the box. Gears of War Reloaded is getting a code in the box.
I feel like I might want a code in a box.
You want the code in a box? I just said it too many times. Call Jeff. He'll tell you about the code in the box.
But I'm saying that because everything I've bought for the past however many years has been digital.
Yeah.
Like I'm not reselling games. And so if I go and see something at Target and I like, it's a detriment in my consumer brain, it's a detriment to go and look at a shelf of games because I don't want any of them. I want the digital version.
Sure.
So I kind of see something like that. But obviously, from a preservation standpoint, this creates more challenges for long-term preservation.
Yeah, like Indiana Jones, I guess, had one, but then like Doom: The Dark Ages had a physical copy, but it didn't work unless you downloaded a 1 gigabyte patch. So what was on the disc didn't actually run. I don't know. I mean, you know, the question,
especially because discs. Sorry, like 1.0 disc data may not even be valuable even on day one.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a reason for it, but it's I don't know. It's something that's becoming increasingly a thing, and like it's nice to have those out there. At least like Hellblade 2 didn't have a physical copy. No. But on the PS5, that version will have a physical. I have a feeling that there's some kind of clause in Sony's contract that says you have to have the game on the disc, because when they've been putting these same games out on the PS5, they're not putting a PS5 version with a code in the box. They are actually putting it out with like the thing on the disc. Even so, in this article, they talk about how Hellblade 2 is going to be by limited runs. So.
Yeah. I guess I've never seen a code in a box. Like, are we talking like the key card type of thing, or it's like
a disc that you put in and then it redeems a code? I don't know, actually, because I haven't purchased a physical game in like 2 years, so I'm part of the problem over here.
I kind of knew. I feel like I kind of knew Xbox could do that, but I guess and then anyway, all these discs are just for installing and authenticating, anyways.
Yeah.
Blah.
I'm not sure.
It's a weird one that I've never run into, and I wish I could say I had a better answer, because it is it's a thing for people. It's not it's just something I'm sitting in my ivory tower sipping on my Lavoisier telling the plebes how they enjoy their video games.
Yeah. Let's see. From there, this is, I think, pretty good news. So the SAG-AFTRA voice actors strike is over. At least at the moment. So this is almost a year long, because they started back in July of last year was when this started, and they have now reached a tentative agreement on an interactive media contract, which means that it will be coming to an end, which is good. I think that the biggest sticking point here was obviously AI, right? And the use of AI, motion capture, voice capture, like, I know that the video game industry when I read the SAG-AFTRA stuff, it was like the video game industry wanted to be like, yeah, we'll pay you $50 to come in and read the alphabet, and then we go in your voice forever. We can use it whatever we want to. We can make it say to your big poopy pants, and then like you can't sue us or anything. So given that, I'm hoping that there is. I looked around. I didn't see any details about what agreement was come to, but it's got to be something substantial enough to stop the strike.
And it could be, if this is from the past few days or so, sometimes that stuff takes a minute to kind of actually flesh out, and because when there's something to announce, they will announce it, and then we'll be able to, I guess, really dissect how where everyone lands at the end of it.
Yeah. Which, it's funny because I don't think a lot of people understood that there were like recastings in certain games. There were characters in expansions or in trailers, like Destiny 2 and World of Warcraft both had some NPCs that were just like completely unvoiced because the voice actors were striking. So they had stuff that there was even Riot they canceled a game in order to try to basically remake it with non-union voice actors, and they did not like that. I know that SAG-AFTRA also, they filed a complaint against Epic for the AI Vader voice that came
Fortnite.
out in Fortnite. So
I'm on fleek, children. I shouldn't have made him chef.
So it's good. I don't know.
I wonder what this will mean. There is so much gaming that doesn't fall under SAG-AFTRA.
Yeah.
And the scale of games where you're actually working with with union voice actors and union motion capture, the stakes are very high, so it helps having protections in place. But I don't know what this looks like for like the Bellatros of the world.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Probably doesn't do much. But
probably not.
Well, good to look into.
Yep. Let's see. In other, we got some corporate news here. We got a few corporate stories. So, Warner Brothers announced that they are restructuring their games division, which, Bryce, I just take this opportunity for the 100th time to say, I think that Warner Brothers is one of the more hilarious companies in the world, and that they have all of these incredible IPs, and they have no fucking idea what to do. Like they're gormless, like useless. Anyway, they're basically restructuring their games division into 3 arms. Okay. Yeah. One is going to be Harry Potter and Game of Thrones. One is going to be DC and Mortal Kombat, and then one is like general interactive support and I think like promotion and stuff like that. So they basically have divided their IPs into two big branches, and they've put I don't know. Do you guys care who the people are that are in charge of this? NetherRealm's Sean Himmerich is in charge of the one. Oh, well, that my website got some malware on it.
No.
So
no.
Yeah.
Don't click that button. Don't click that button.
Don't click that button.
Don't click that button for sure.
But, come on, Bryce. There's a problem with my computer. I got to click on the button.
This is like I'm sure it was announced like last week or so that Warner Brothers Discovery would be splitting up. Despite the past few years of them very publicly merging. So with the interactive portion, where also has been an embattled part of the company for so long. I'm not surprised to see that there's restructuring, and I'm surprised that there's even as much structure as it sounds like there's going to be here. Because you have the Harry Potter game, which nobody talks about, but was a huge seller.
Yep.
But you also have no Game of Thrones games.
Well, they announced one at Games Fest. They announced an RTS at Games Fest last week.
But you have no Game of Thrones
games. There's a mobile game that came out on PC like a few months back.
So you have no Game of Thrones game, and then you have another. You said there's going to be another arm that's going to be TikToking between Injustice and fucking Mortal Kombat.
Yes,
at least that's a flywheel that we know works.
Well, they say it's going to be Mortal Kombat and then DC games. So I'm assuming Injustice, but I think the thing that that I take away from this is the idea that they have, like a lot of companies, they've narrowed their scope incredibly to just like money making franchises. No risks, no innovation. We're not going to try to make a thing. We're gonna take them cash cows, and we're just gonna grab both udders and yank as hard as we can until it all dries up. But
very just that's what I love about this podcast. It's so vibrant, the imagery.
The thing is, I keep thinking to myself, if you guys made the best Game of Thrones game that had ever existed, I don't know that anybody would buy it. It's like they keep trying to make Game of Thrones a thing, but I don't know. Are you watching the Hot D? Are you watching the House of the Dragon on Max? Are you watching the Game of Thrones prequel? Are you excited about an RTS set where you can make Jon Snow into a White Walker? I don't give a shit.
Why don't they make a Game of Thrones game?
They
Am
have.
I stupid? No, Jeff. Come on, shut up. Make a Game of Thrones game.
They did.
A real one.
There have been several, actually.
Real one.
Game of Thrones King's Road is free right now. You could go install this on Steam. It came out May 21st.
There was the Telltale one that happened a while ago.
Yeah. And this is a game.
What the fuck?
This is Game of Thrones King's Road. This is a phone game like God of War where you go around and ride a horse and do battle, and there's big action sequences, and nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. Like it's just
this is AI. You made this up. What the fuck are you talking about?
This is a Steam page. This was developed by Netmarble and published by Netmarble for your cell phone, telephone, and the PC.
Well, look, you don't get to have it both ways. Either they made one or they didn't.
They did.
They did not.
They did.
This is not a game. There's a timer on this page. Okay. Look. Warner Brothers couldn't publish their way out of paper bag.
Yep.
All right. The fact that that water tower is still standing is a testament to both of the Warners.
They made a semi-decent Smash Brothers clone and then monetized it so hard that they had to shut it down. Multiverses was not a terrible game, but it was boring as shit because the only thing to do was play online or play their horrible daily bullshit task nonsense. So,
okay. Yeah.
Anyway.
Look, man,
all I care about is
they're doing it wrong somehow, and they're doing it at every which tendril you're looking at.
Yeah. I don't know. All I know is that if I can get an Injustice 3 and it's better than Mortal Kombat 1, I'll be happy. So.
Just make a real Game of Thrones game. This is Infinity Blade. You turn the trailer on and I saw through your deception. It's Infinity Blade. Make a real Game of Thrones game.
It's not. Let's see. Here's some good news that I really like is Lars Wingefor has stepped down as CEO of Embracer Group. Which I think is great. He is still going to be on the board of directors of Embracer Group, which is now splitting into 3 different companies, but he's no longer going to be in charge because I've watched for the last 5 years as this fucking idiot, asshole, stupid piece of shit went and bought up every indie company that existed in the UK and then destroyed a huge amount of talent and IP and gaming legacy, and is just like I'm very proud of the time that I've had there. What's this? 1,387 people lost their jobs and 29 unannounced projects were canceled in his time at Embracer Group. So good job, assface. Sorry, I really hate this guy. I really hate this guy.
Look, I mean, good that he's gone, but I mean, if it just be what does it mean coming up into 3 different, their Embracer is splitting? Oh, I remember that. They announced that a while ago.
Yeah.
I mean, they lose one asshole, they're going to gain 3 more.
It's so weird is that they gathered all of these game companies up under one umbrella, and then when it all fell apart, they're all separating back out into their own game companies. The ones that are strong enough are spinning off into, Saber bought themselves out with their Warhammer Space Marine 2 money, and Coffee Stain is going its own way, and then the the fucking Lord of the Rings jumped off into be its own thing. So
and was this also when Amazon made that huge deal for Lord of the Rings? Was it Embracer that they made it through?
Yes.
And that's how Embracer's basically been alive, because Amazon gave them like $1 billion,
something like that. And then they got that one stupid Hobbit.
The Rings of Power.
No, it's the Hobbit Animal Crossing game, the Hobbit Life, where don't you want to be a Hobbit, live in the Shire?
You're really good at making up fake games, Jeff.
Hobbit Life. Is that what it's called? It's called like Hobbit Life?
Life?
Or what is it? No, it's called the cozy. It's called
it's called My Time at Hobbit.
Tales of the Shire.
What?
Tales of the Shire, a Lord of the Rings video game. There it is on Steam. Look, it's on Steam, and it's like, don't you want to live in the Shire and just like make like grow crops and make food, and then invite your Hobbit neighbors over to your little Shire thingy, the little Hobbit hole, and complain about your neighbors and be judgmental? And I'm like, fuck no, shut up with this shit. Like, no.
You could have a cozy gem here, though. You could have a capital C cozy game.
You'll find out at the end of July. Yeah. Oh shit, I've wasted too much time. All right, lightning round. Nexus Mods got sold to a private investment group.
Wait, is it a private investment group, or was it just two guys?
I think it's two guys that have a really nice website that make them seem like a private investment group. I looked at their website to try to figure out what the fuck they were, and it's like some kind of, it's not exactly venture capital, but it's close to it. So anyway, one guy has been running Nexus Mods for 24 years, and apparently it's taken a really big toll on him. And so he brokered a deal where he's still going to be on, and he's going to be this new group is going to be taking over for him. Their website has a lot of talk about monetization and scary stuff. They have come out to say that they have zero plans, and they never want to try to monetize this stuff or put stuff behind a paywall or make it harder. They want to basically keep the site running as intended, and maybe throw some more ads on it or something like that. Time will tell whether they are liars who are lying directly to our faces, or whether we could take them at their word and Nexus Mods will remain. I mean, either one is very plausible. Nexus Mods could remain virtually unchanged, or we could be starting the beginning of the slow 5-year crash of Nexus Mods until the whole thing is shut down in 2030, and we all pour one out for the website that gave us naked everything for every video game there is. So
yeah, well, we'll just have to see. Like, I kind of hope it works out, just because from the guy's post, I kind of want to take him at his word, because I don't know too much about him, but
yeah,
he seems like he feels good about this, and in a world where everyone is very aware that mergers don't seem to be worth the squeeze, hopefully this guy is able to get his payday and see it off in a good way.
Yeah. Let's see.
Speaking of sending it off in a good way,
for the second time in human history, Sony is issuing refunds for a video game that you could buy on their store, because Mind's Eye apparently is so goddamn terrible that you can actually get a refund for it. Today they apologized. I saw this right before we started recording. They put out an apology saying that the game, all the stuff that they do, just copy paste Cyberpunk. Oh, this didn't go as we intended, and we're dedicated to make up to our fans, all the blah blah blah.
Except kind of no one was hyped about this game before it came out.
I kind of was. What? I was cautiously optimistic because of the
bends. You needed the bends.
It was the IO connection. I love IO and Hitman so much that I was like, well, they see something in these guys, and some of the trailers looked okay, but yeah, apparently the game is fucking terrible. I mean, even outside of performance, like just the game itself is terrible. Like there's nothing to do. There's like a mediocre cover-based shooter, and that's it. That's all there is to do in the game. And yeah, what a bunch.
But don't you love that? That's Grand Theft Auto. That's 90% of Grand Theft Auto is cover-based shooting. Don't you love that? Now make our post-game content for us, you worm.
Yeah. This is supposed to be part of a bigger product, but then that everything app went away, and so they just released their Grand Theft Auto clone. Okay.
Did you see the ending for the game?
No.
Someone posted like a 7-hour full play of it, like the day it came out.
Okay.
And I recommend people look up the ending to that game.
I'll have to do that as soon as we get done here.
Because it's no matter how much context you get, it's still that stupid.
Yeah. Let's see. Marathon has been delayed. Is not launching in September. They're going to be working on it. They've actually put out a list of what they're working on, and none of it sounds like anything that makes me want to play this game. More challenging and engaging AI encounters, more rewarding runs, making combat more tense and strategic, increasing visual fidelity, a darker tone, a better player experience, proximity chat.
More narrative and environmental storytelling. Gosh.
Yeah, I don't care about any of that. So
this did you see that report about Dragon Age? Was it last week or something? About how like we're lucky that Veilguard even came out with how much they pivoted that game.
Oh yeah. They basically created like a brand new game within like 2 years of having their new director come on.
And I feel like, unfortunately, Marathon will probably go down a similar route of they had a design doc and a corporate, mandate, and then they had this, and then the pivot and the response and the feedback, and like I feel bad for them that they, along with a lot of other Sony studios, have had to deal with this live service push. Yeah. And now we've got the Halo guys who still have yet to make a Halo.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know that there's anything outside of tearing this thing down and giving it 2 or 3 years worth of redevelopment with a single player campaign and less of a focus on a pure extraction shooter, like giving people like me who don't want to play an extraction shooter something to do, because as it is, like, I've seen what you have. You may be the best version of that. No, I'm not really that interested in that. Like, I'll give it a try, but I can already tell you that you're going to have to blast my socks all the way off to get me to keep playing an extraction shooter, and I don't see that happening with what we got here. So
yeah.
After all of the Sturm and Drang, Borderlands 4 is $70. So after all the bullshit with Randy Pitchford going online and talking about the price and yada, 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 he put out a tweet saying the big news: no price increase for Borderlands 4. Standard edition launches at $80, not at $80, but at $69.99. They're showing you, so please show them. You can find links to the pre-order, blah, 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 blah.
They're showing you, so please show them.
Buy my game so that fucking Gearbox doesn't get shut down. They're owned by Embracer. They're owned by the Embracer Group.
They're showing you, so please show them. That's Randy Pitchford saying.
Show them your love. Show them how much you love Borderlands and buy our video game.
Brother, fuck you. Can you fucking believe I have bought all of these fucking games?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I can't, once or twice a year I get under. I've bought all these fucking Fuck you, Randy Pitchford. Don't talk to me. Show you, please show. Fuck you.
I feel like the RageSelect podcast is not complete until at least once an episode somebody says, "Fuck you, Randy Pitchford."
Fuck you. I bought all those goddamn games, and then you're
none of them were worth it. None of them were worth it.
Wonderlands 2. Yep. If it was Wonderlands 2, I'd show you something.
Yeah. After all that, after you just fucking keep his mouth shut. Go off of Twitter, Randy Pitchford. Fucking shut the hell up and make your video game.
No, you know what the real fans are going to do? They're going to wait a month and buy it for $20 fucking, which is, I'm sure, how I did it 8 different times.
When it comes out on PS Plus or Game Pass, I will download it and take a look. I liked this story, Death Stranding 2. There was a story that came out from, I believe, Woodkid, the guy that's doing a lot of the music for Death Stranding 2. We're apparently about halfway through development of the game. Kojima came in and said that people were enjoying the game too much and that he considered that to be a bad thing because he wanted people to be more challenged, and so they actually went back in and reworked like the entire midsection of the game so that it wasn't as immediately fun as apparently it was during playtesting. There's a thing here where he basically kind of likens it to, what does he say? If everyone likes your work, it means it's mainstream. It means it's conventional. It means it's already pre-digested for people who like it. I don't know. Part of this was that, Bryce, do you have that thing where you listen to an album and you're like, it's okay. I don't know that I really like it. Like, it's not what I expected. I'm gonna go listen to fucking Blink 182. Fuck you. And then like you come back to it like 6 months later, and you're like, actually, this is a little bit better than I thought. And then like you don't immediately love it, but then over time it turns into like one of your like top 10 favorites of all time.
Absolutely.
I think that's what he's describing. That as opposed to just being like kind of a like, yay, I get to blow it up. That like. When you challenge people and that they take a little bit more time to sink into it, then that like makes a more lasting impression. So
I think there's something to that, and it creates this very catchy headline.
Yeah.
So, but there is something to that. I mean, a point that we made on our Two Tusk podcast, hashtag promo, was that like that this old classic rock album was weird and experimental for the time.
Yeah,
and there were certainly a lot of people who I'm sure were saying like, you can just make this sound like a rock song and a mainstream type of song. But when you go off the deep end, that is when you can find the weird things, the cool, strange, new things you'd never ever expected. And for Hideo Kojima, who is known for being both an auteur and someone who's kind of out in left field, I think it tracks. I mean, I had a lot. There were plenty of spans of me playing Death Stranding that I enjoyed and had a lot of fun with. But none of those were necessarily the beginning or the end of the game, and maybe they wouldn't have been as fun if all that stuff was, if the in and out were different. Like, it's not crazy.
Makes sense. Yeah. Makes sense. And you are right that it does make for a catchy headline of like, Hideo Kojima says my game was too fun, so I went back and redid it. Okay, let's blast through some of these Final Fantasy Tactics remaster. I didn't know this, but apparently the source code for old PSX games is something that like is not very well preserved. So apparently they had to basically do this like via vibes. Like they kind of had to recreate the game. Like they didn't have the actual coding as far as like how certain AI mechanics of the game work. So they had to go back and like play the original game and then play their build of it and see if it would work.
Oh, that's interesting. Because I mean, you don't think about that part of remakes, right? Like,
yep.
Yeah, but you got to make all the graphics and all the art again. No, Martha, there's a lot of fucking math in these games, and no one wrote that shit down.
They said this is the thing from this article on Kotaku that I said where they said. It was earlier on. They basically said that like there were points in time where after they mastered the Japanese version, they would literally go in and just rewrite the dialogue over the source code for like the international version. Like they would just be like, okay, that one's done. Open up the file. Let's make it all English now. Just say. So
that's how it was back then, kids.
Yeah, here it is. The Japanese version might be completely overwritten in English for the international release.
They didn't have GitHub back then.
Yep. So hard drives were way more expensive. Let's see. Hades 2 got a big update as they get close to 1.0. They got the Unseen update that adds a bunch of new story stuff and new aspects to the weapons and all kinds of cool shit. And I can't wait for it to go into 1.0, but we still don't know when it's going to go into 1.0. And I don't want to play it till it goes into 1.0. When is it going to go into 1.0?
Don't worry. When it's in 1.0, there'll still be a roadmap for more shit that they're going to add. So you'll get a whole other reason to play it again 6 months down the line.
I don't care as long as the story's done. I just want to play the story. Bloober Team is now remaking Silent Hill 1. That was an announcement last week that they did the Silent Hill 2 remake, and now they're going to be doing a Silent Hill 1 remake. I don't know. Do you have feelings about that? Do you have Silent Hill feelings about that?
I had a feeling of deja vu because when I first saw this, I thought like, didn't they do that?
Nope.
No, they've just like made like spiritual reboots of Silent Hill 1 a bunch of times, but they've never actually given it a full coat of paint.
I think the only one remake is that the Shattered Memories.
No, but that's the one I'm thinking of. That's like not even the real. That's not. Yeah. Jeff, that's not it. That's not a real game. That didn't exist either.
It's a reimagining. Quit making up games. It makes this podcast too hard.
I'd love to see them do Silent Hill 3. That's the one I have a personal, history with. But cool.
Don't you have to play 1 though, then to understand 3, where the daughter comes from? No. Okay.
You can if you want to understand the alien ending.
Yeah.
Well, who's that guy that looks like my dad in the background, but it's not my dad? That's the guy from the second game. There's a game? Anyway.
This is a really strange news article that I had to read. So just recently they put out the Gex trilogy remastered.
Yeah.
1 through 3. And apparently in the United States, Dana Gould did the voice of Gex for Gex 1, 2, and 3. But in the UK, Gex 2 was voiced by Leslie Phillips, who is called the Ding Dong Guy. This is some movie, I don't know, where he says, like, he sees a woman, and at the end he says, like, Ding Dong.
Okay.
And then apparently Gex 3, he was voiced by Danny John Jules, who is Cat from Red Dwarf, if anybody remembers him. He was also, I think, one of the bartenders in one of those Guy Ritchie movies. I remember his Cat from Red Dwarf because I love Red Dwarf. So apparently Limited Run, like, they released this game, but they were in talks to basically get the option to put the PAL version of these voices into the game, and they announced that they did. So as a patch coming to anybody who played Gex, you're going to be able to play Gex 2 and 3 with the voices of Leslie Phillips and Danny John Jules respectively, which is a strange thing. But, you know, we talked a lot about game archival, and having this granular level of weird game archival, I'm all for it. So
this just speaks to both the power of Gex as a whole of a franchise and the even more narrow slice of Gex, the people in the PAL versions who liked these voices.
Yep.
It tells you how really valuable this piece of news is, that they didn't even bother to delay the game until they could get this business deal, this major content deal done with this game.
Yep. It's not on the disc. You got to download it separately. Comes with the code. All right. And then last but not least, before we take a break here, just as a brief heads up to everybody, Capcom is having a big Spotlight Digital event next week where they're going to be showing off the new Resident Evil, Pragmata, Monster Hunter Wilds, and Street Fighter 6 content. So Thursday, June 26th, set your clocks. Probably have to wait another week after next week for us to talk about that because, anyway. Yeah. Logistics. So
okay. Well,
yep.
There we go. Capcom.
That's it.
Capcom.
Yep. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. But when we come back, we got a shitload of trailers. So stick around, and we'll see you in just a minute. And we're back. And that means it's time for trailers. We have a lot of horror trailers this week. But we're going to get... Yes?
I feel like we could... what do you mean there's a lot of horror trailers? They're always making these horror games.
Yeah. Well, but there's some interesting horror trailers this week.
Okay. Well, there we go.
But we're not going to start with that. We're going to start with this is something that was announced at the Konami press conference from Gamescom or Summer Games Fest that I didn't watch. Metal Gear Solid Delta, the remake of Snake Eater, is going to have its own multiplayer mode called Fox Hunt. So they talked. There was a brief thing at the end of the trailer that actually showed this. But so Metal Gear's had Metal Gear Online for Metal Gear Solid 3, and then Metal Gear Solid 4, I think, had an online mode, and I think even 5 had some kind of online adversarial
base invasions. Yeah,
multiplayer. Oh yeah. They had the nuke invasion stuff. So rather than recreate the Metal Gear Solid 3 multiplayer, they're doing a new thing called Fox Hunt that appears to be kind of a hide and seek thing. And from what I can glean, they didn't talk too much about this, but it looks like you've got some kind of adaptive camo where you can hit a button and it just like blends you into the environment that you're around. So if you're on the ground, it puts grass over you. If you're up against the wall, it puts like leaves over you. And then you're kind of looking to like hide and seek and kind of ambush people. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. It's weird to me that they're feeling the need, because this is from Konami rather than Bluepoint, or no, it's not Bluepoint. It's the other company that's doing the remake. But this is from Konami specifically, so they're making this part of the game. It's very like 2005. The idea of we have to have a multiplayer mode with this incredibly complicated narrative single player game.
Yeah. This is, and like it seems like these multiplayer games do get like okay player bases.
Yeah.
You know,
They have
this is cool. Like I like hide and seek, multiplayer games. There's, I don't know, maybe it's just because I've seen a lot of like mods and people play it on YouTube and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the Solid Snake version of Prop Hunt in a weird way. But yeah, it looks all right. You know, it looks fine. It'll be interesting to see whether, like you said, whether it gets legs. A lot of times, like you said, I feel like these things get small but incredibly dedicated fan bases, and then when they go to shut the servers down, there's like the wailing and gnashing of like 70 people, but they're really wailing and they're really gnashing. So. Let's see from there. Speaking of online multiplayer games, we got the latest DLC for Fortnite for Father's Day, which was Cleveland Brown, Hank Hill, and Bob Belcher are now all in Fortnite. They made a little animated thing where they're all playing online, and Bob and Cleveland are playing, and Hank Hill is not even playing the game. He's just outside drinking in his front yard. So, yeah, it's fine. I don't know.
When Peter Griffin.
Oh, Peter Griffin's already in there. He was in there like 2-3 seasons ago. They had him as the buff version because.
Oh right. He's got to match the character.
The hitbox. Yeah. But it's pretty cute.
Okay.
Let's see.
Cleveland Brown, huh?
Cleveland Brown.
We really didn't find another animation domination property, huh? Okay.
I think they've actually put a fair amount of Family Guy people in there. So I think, unless they were going to put American Dad in, I think Cleveland Brown is probably the next one.
That would have worked too.
Stan Smith,
Francine, Steve.
Yep. Roger. I would play Fortnite as Roger.
Roger doesn't have the hitbox. We know. Come on. He doesn't have the hitbox.
Yeah, you put him in one of his outfits. You can maybe find some. Nah.
Ricky
Spanish. Dude, I would go buy Ricky Spanish for Fortnite.
They should make a Ricky Spanish game. And don't come up with a fake one that you pull up on the Steam page and say
actually, Brian, there's already 4 Ricky Spanish games. There's one that came out last week. I already played it. No.
Mostly negative reviews? Interesting.
Yes. Let's see. From there, speaking of crossover stuff, we got a trailer for the latest Dead by Daylight crossover, which is for Five Nights at Freddy's. It's the glitch trap, I think, is this one. One of the big animatronic weirdos. They've got a new level that's inside of the pizzeria. I've actually seen a little bit of this. There's an interesting mechanic where you could open a door and go into the security room from FNAF. And then some of the killer's special powers are like they can hide, and then if you get too near to them, it does a jump scare on you as if you're playing FNAF. So
that's okay. That's clever. That's cool. That makes sense too.
Yeah, which is pretty fun. Yeah, this was the one they were talking about that they wanted to put Christine in the game as well, but they couldn't figure out how. And I was like,
the car?
The car.
Yes, Christine?
Yeah, Stephen King's Christine. So, but yeah, Springtrap, not Glitch Trap. Springtrap is in Five Nights at Freddy's. So,
and Dead by Daylight.
Dead by Daylight. God, yeah. Also in Five Nights at Freddy's. So. Let's see. We got something that was completely mislabeled as a gameplay showcase for Chronos: The New Dawn, which is the weird sci-fi Bloober Team game where you got the person with the big helmet with the vagina on the front of it. And yeah, this showed a little bit of kind of like walking through this world and a little bit of combat. I'm very glad that Bloober Team has figured out that I want combat in my goddamn horror games, because I didn't like anything they did, and then I liked the Silent Hill 2 remake, and now they've got this new one where you're playing as a weird deep sea time astronaut or something. The thing that's interesting about this one is they have this big kind of logo on it where it's like, don't let them merge, where they have these weird kind of, they look a lot like the not Deadites, the guys from Dead Space, the necromorphs from Dead Space, where they're kind of like half a dead body and half a monster. But in this thing, they show a really big one, and as the character is fighting them, it gets close to a corpse, and then it absorbs the corpse, and then it turns into an even bigger, even scarier version of the monster, which is an interesting idea of like, you know, if you kill one and there's a corpse, then you have to keep the other ones away from it lest they just get more and more powerful. So
yeah.
Has this been on your radar at all? Have you heard of Kronos at all?
I hadn't. I'm assuming this is an extraction shooter.
No.
Okay, single player. Okay.
Single player narrative Bloober Team game. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I agree. Like, I did not love the run of, you know, I know I remember what I just said a few minutes ago, but I didn't like the whole thing of hiding and seeking with the big monsters, and I didn't love that.
Sure.
So I like that, you know, they're putting some gunplay and some action. Kind of getting a Returnal vibe from the aesthetic of the space here, right? Kind of a sci-fi meets, you know, modern day meets very dark and spooky fog.
Yeah, grungy industrial everything. Yeah, I don't know. It's still unclear what the story is for this. Like, there's some kind of like ruined world where you're like a diver, like you're kind of exploring this ruined world. But then the original announcement trailer for this ended with this character, the one in the big armor, playing chess with an old woman, like in a fancy room, and it was like, so there's some kind of metaphysical shit going on. But again, if you give me a gun with bullets in it, then you can scare me by having me run low on bullets when the monsters are coming, as opposed to just you are worthless, go hide in this locker until the monsters go by. So glad to see that this is shaping up. More interested than I have been in a lot of the other ones.
Did we have a date for that, or was that just a preview?
No, it's fall of this year. Yep. Let's see. From there, we got this is a game called Bleak Haven. This is a kind of an indie horror game that I hadn't seen before. It's got very like what was that Netflix show where it was like the kind of the Cult in the Woods kind of thing?
Dark?
No, it was a different thing. But anyway, the enemies in here are really interesting because they're kind of like mannequins, but then also kind of like people. They're like real naked, like hissing kind of like monster.
Zombies?
Yeah, there seems to.
But they look like dolls. You're right.
They have a very weird movement cadence to them that makes them seem a little lifeless. And then later on in this trailer, they show, like, this also seems to be a thing. They show this kind of this weird monster like picking up limbs and putting them back on, like that have been like picks up its head that has been severed and puts it back on. And then kind of towards the end, we see like an encounter with this monster that appears to be like a lot of bodies all put together into one big shambling arms and skulls mess that kind of comes at the player. Striking imagery, like interesting. Like at first it was like, oh look, you're on an island and there's like a weird cult and some religious people and there's some guys coming at you. But as it went on, I warmed up to it more and more.
Yeah, that seems neat. Do we know what? I guess this was just like, what is the gameplay of this? I guess it's just a horror gunplay.
It looks like it kind of looks like Resident Evil 7. With even the weapon selector looks an awful lot like Resident Evil. And so the part they show where you're shooting, it's just modern weapons and like a shotgun and
okay. And I mean, another cool horror game.
Yeah. It's not an extraction shooter.
It's not an extraction shooter. You have to extract with your life.
That's right. Let's see. From there, we got a horror fishing game called Out Fishing that the trailer for it has... the trailer has a really bad voiceover. Whoever's doing the voice, I'm very sorry, but they're not up to the normal par that I expect from voices. But it's like at an abandoned summer camp and you've gone back there to like live in a cabin and fish on the lake and you're selling your fish, but then like as the trailer goes on, they show like upgrades to your reel and like, you know, nets, and you could set up like new docks and build stuff. But then also there's a bunch of weird and spooky shit at night. Like at night, instead of fish, there's like bodies coming up out of the water, and there's like stuff hanging onto the side of your boat, and like there's weird dudes behind you. And why would you keep fishing at that point? Why would you not leave immediately and do something else? It's also a bloody fish talking to you, which I appreciate. So
Huh. This is really weird seeing in motion because I mean, it does look a little asset flippy, but like there's an idea and a story here. Ooh, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
It kind of looks like what if Camp Crystal Lake was actually a really good fishing spot, and you went there before all the murders happened, and you were like, I'm going to go back and fish at that place. I don't know. It is a little bit asset flippy, and it is a little bit generic looking, but. After that, we got the announcement and release. I didn't know this was even a thing of DLC for Still Wakes the Deep, the weird, the Thing horror game on a big, what was it, like an Irish oil platform?
Rig? Yeah.
Yeah. And apparently, from what I read, this is takes place much after the game, where you've got a diving crew coming back to the undersea ruins of the oil platform to try to figure out what happened here. And a lot of it seems to be like diving based, right? So instead of walking around on the platform, you're literally, the whole thing is underwater and you're in a scuba gear and you're kind of going through to see what's going on. And then, you know, as is the want, right? Things are going to go poorly as time goes on.
The deep is still wake.
Yeah. Did you play Still Wakes the Deep?
I didn't, but I heard that it was a very a good kind of narrative based game.
Yeah. I kind of meant to, but I have a real low tolerance for the walking around running away from experience horror games. That's why I like the guns or fishing, as the case may be.
But it does seem like, you know, the story that they told in it really resonated with a lot of folks. So
yeah,
it's cool to see like a semi-sequel DLC.
Yeah, I also think that this happens a lot when you have Game Pass games. Because they go into Game Pass, they get the obvious payout that they normally get, but then they have enough money and cushion from that payout, even if it's moderately successful on other platforms, to be able to then funnel that back into more content that then I think encourages people who played the game on Game Pass to then go buy that DLC, so they get an additional revenue bump. Because I feel like I've seen that happen a few times before. So
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, let's see. From there, we got another gameplay trailer for a game called Holston. I am super interested in this game. It is like this Eastern European kind of zombie game where you play. Okay, here's the thing, Bryce. All the characters look like they're like, you know, kind of pixel based, but the point of view dramatically changes. Like you're at a top down 3/4, but then it zooms over the shoulder for attacks, and then there's like first person driving sections, and there's like top down Hotline Miami sections. And so they've used this,
and it like is bouncing back and forth between like isometric and over the shoulder, and wow,
yeah, like you're isometrically walking around, but then when you go to aim your gun, it literally just zooms all the way into over the shoulder. It's kind of jarring when you first see it, but I think like, you know, the part that they showed right there kind of looks like flashback, and I think it's like, did they actually manage to do this thing where they created a 3D character model that was pixelated enough that if you put it to the side, then it looked like a side scroller, or is that a whole separate asset?
Yeah.
Either way,
because it does seem like you would do like level of detail, right?
Right.
Like, you know, his jacket is super textured when it's up close, but then wow.
It's a really interesting. I saw it a little while back, and it's got a Kickstarter, but it's also, you know, this is on the actual PlayStation, and it's saying that it's going to be coming out for the PlayStation. So, like, there's I'm pretty sure it's already in development, even though they've still got a Kickstarter going. But it's just very striking looking, like, and it's something that once it got on my radar, every time it came up, I was like, ooh, that one.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, very cool looking. Very cool looking. Let's see. We also got, speaking of kind of retro throwback stuff, an official release window for Flesh Made Fear, which is another one that's been on my radar. This is just straight up, somebody was like, I'm just going to make me a Resident Evil. I'm going to make me a PSX Resident Evil with like fixed camera angles and kind of low poly characters with, you know, a story in this town that's full of like crazy zombies and like weird guts and gore and kind of lo-fi PSX horror style. which I'm glad to see a lot more of because nobody else, Capcom has moved on, right? But this is still, I think, a pretty effective aesthetic to kind of throw back to the nostalgia of playing those games a long time ago.
Yeah. I wonder. I wonder what demos this plays to. Sorry, I'm just like casually throwing the entire podcast into the ocean. Like will the does this resonate with the children? Do the children understand what the game this is referencing?
I think well, I see that's the thing is that I think that it resonates to the children, but I don't think they understand the reference, but I think that there's just been a saturation of PSX style lo-fi horror experiences that's just like a genre that they recognize without having to go back and play the stuff that it's referencing. So I mean, it's kind of like, if you were an 8-year-old and they came out with a 16-bit platformer game, you would still have fun with it even without. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if doing it this way gets more clicks, but from everything I've seen, it's definitely the style that is in vogue right now. So,
yeah, it's just it's interesting. I mean, we don't need it. I'm going to bring the podcast back out of the ocean and let you move on to the next trailer.
Halloween of this year, Halloween 2025. So. We also got, if you want a little bit more easygoing horror, we got the Goosebumps.
Easygoing horror.
Terror in Little Creek, which appears to be very younger skewing. Speaking of nostalgia, I'm glad to see that Goosebumps is still out there licensing themselves to whatever will take them. To be like for a third-person action adventure.
It's an Amnesia.
Is it? You think it's Amnesia? Where you got to hide?
I think so. It's either Amnesia or it's Toontown.
I was thinking it was like, what was that Tequila Works game? Guilt, Gylt, which was basically like Silent Hill for babies for Silent Hill. No, it was Baby First Alan Wake because you had a flashlight and you would shine it on guys. So,
yeah, okay.
But
interesing, yeah.
Did you read the Goosebumps as a kid?
I did.
Did you like that? Does this do anything for you? Does this activate your nostalgia neurons at all?
Not enough to make me go play Terror in Little Creek, but I'm having a little bit of dopamine for sure.
Okay. August 2025 is when you can expect that.
Okay.
I said before during the Summer Games Fest, and I'm glad to see that Power Wash Simulator is getting more. So you like Power Wash Simulator? Try this one. So this is the official early access release date trailer for Goblin Cleanup, which is a game where you play as a sexy goblin maid lady, and you're like trying to clean up the dungeon before the heroes get there. But it's also full of like monsters and traps and stuff that will kill you. But by the same token, you're doing a viscera cleanup detail where you're trying to get rid of the bodies and mop up the blood for the next group that's coming through, which I think is a relatively decent concept. Considering viscera cleanup detail was horrible, even though I really wanted to love it.
I know. Okay, thank you. Like that game it hasn't aged well.
Yes. No, it was terrible when it came out. Like,
but you have more people willing to put up with fucking bullshit. That's the old, like I see way more viscera cleanup detail than I do Power Wash Simulator in some of this footage.
Yeah,
which is a major turnoff. I don't want to see one fucking goblin bucket if I can help it.
I guess it all depends on what happens when the ghost you're mopping the floor with is full of blood. Yeah. Does it start putting the blood back on the floor? Well, then no, thank you.
And then you're feeding mimics. It really seems like that's most of what you're doing based on some. Oh, no, they got spikes and some lasers. Okay.
Yeah, there's some. I also like that there's like hazards, right, that you have to deal with as well.
You do like that.
I do like that. Yes.
Okay. I would prefer an assist mode with no damage.
Okay, well, maybe they have that. Maybe you could just suck the easy. You just uncheck hazards, and then you could just clean it up as you will. I don't know. I do like the little ghost mop, and I do like the mimic as a place to throw stuff away. So, but that's August 28th is when that goes into early access. Let's see. After that, we got the launch trailer for Rydal Remastered. I almost cut this one, but I left it in here for you, Bryce, because I know that you've been. I've
been aching for a remake of Rydal, the Mystery of the Soulless Army.
Well, I think you've Shin Megami the occasional Tensei before, right?
That is true.
I actually played.
This is an SMT?
Yeah.
It looks like it.
Yep. I played it with, we actually recorded the dojos for it yesterday, but it was a PS2 game. It was the first of the Devil Summoner series to come to the United States. And it was, it takes place in the Taisho era, but an alternate history Taisho era in Japan. But then it's got this kind of little arena-based third-person combat mode instead of a turn-based mode. So you still capture the demons, you still summon them, and then they'll help you out, but you actually have a little kind of action thing. And then it kind of takes place in the rip-roaring, like, 1930s, where you're going around trying to solve mysteries as part of this detective agency, but then you get to use your personas or your devils. Like, you use them in battle, but you also use them to affect like dialogue and stuff. Like, you can use them to explore and investigate. So yeah, and it was real sharp. It was on PS5 and Switch 2, I think, and the Xbox and PC. So
that's interesting. I didn't even know the original exists. I did know of Devil Summoner, but I'm not super into the earlier days of SMT's games.
Yeah. I'm just glad to see PS2 games getting remastered, because there's a lot of PS2 games that I'd like to go back and play. But this did send me down the rabbit hole about SMT, because it was like, this is the third Devil Summoner game, but it's the first one that was ever released in the US. Soul Hackers was the second one, and then the first one was there's something called Shin Megami Tensei If, that was the first one that was like the spin-off of Shin Megami Tensei that established the Devil Summoner world, which is an alt history. And then that got me going, like, when the fuck did Shin Megami Tensei start? What system do you think the first Shin Megami Tensei game was on, Bryce?
I think it goes back to the NES.
Yeah, 1986 on the Famicom. And it was based on like a light novel that was also made into a movie, and I want to find that movie. I want to find that Shin Megami Tensei movie that they made.
I bet you probably can. SMT's pretty big.
Yeah.
Check out. I'll send you some Nico Doga links. We'll get you doughed up.
All right, fair enough. But yeah, this is out now, and it looks pretty good. I think everybody should go check it out, especially if you're a fan of the franchise. Let's see. We got the early access release date for Pizza Bandit, which was announced at the Summer Games Fest. Some kind of futuristic cyber pizza commando with the Gears of War gun shooting like bio-zombies. And I don't know what this is, but I'm kind of interested in what the cyber pizza man is. I don't know. It's a little strange.
Okay, it's kind of very Epic Bacon for the win.
Yeah.
You know, like my narwhal's baconing at midnight when I watch that. That's so cool.
I also put it on here just because it was one of the Games Fest shows that I didn't talk about. So,
and then he gets a big bazooka.
Yep.
Drives into a fast car.
August 25th is when you can early access play Pizza Bandit.
And everyone clapped.
Then everyone clapped. Let's see. Star Overdrive came out for everything that is not the Nintendo Switch. This is a game that came out in April where you play as a little skateboardy dude in the future that looked like a fun game where you kind of skateboard through this open world and do adventures and stuff on a cyber surfboard, I guess, more than skateboard. But yeah.
Oh, this is what that Sonic World game should have been. That open world Sonic game they made.
Oh, yeah.
This looks like that should have been.
Either that or canceled.
Oh, there's a hedgehog. Okay, come on.
I don't know. The thing is that I was interested in this game, but it looked very bad on the Switch because it was just very low resolution and bad frame rate. And so, now it's out on everything else. So
there you go.
Go check it out.
Overdrive.
Mm-hmm. It's another weird one that I wasn't aware of called Sarevna, which is
another Russian game.
What's that?
Is that a Russian title?
Well, it's because the main character is like a combat ballerina where they're doing like action stuff, but with like ballerina moves and magic. It's a strange trailer though because the gameplay is blurry as shit. Like I could barely see what's going on, but then like the close-ups are all nice and sharp. So I don't know if they just really captured the gameplay in a super low resolution or something. But
I mean, I don't even think that's gameplay.
Yeah, do you think
that's just I think this is all a cutscene.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know.
It looks fancy.
Ballerina Souls. I'll check out Ballerina Souls if that's what's going on.
I don't need to make trash. It just she doesn't have her tay-tays out. Okay, that's what I'm gonna say. She doesn't have her holding nanos out.
Okay. Okay. You're never gonna get your Stellar Blade money like that.
I paid. Fuck you. Fuck you. I bought that game. Fuck you. Fuck you, Randy Pitchford. I'm bringing it back.
We got the launch trailer for Tron Catalyst, which should be up the same day that we put this up. I've been super interested in this. I wish I had more time to play it because this is Mike Bithel's like second crack at a Tron game. The first one was very narrative. This one is kind of a top-down action a la, something like Hades, I think. And it's a time loop where you're in this world that keeps resetting. And so as you go through, it's like you learn stuff or you get codes or you get items that allow you to then like jump further ahead in the little story slices that they give you. And it seems like, I love Tron and I wish there was more Tron because right now the world that we live in, I feel like is perfect for Tron, like to make games in Tron. So I liked what I played, but I don't know. Have you been familiar with this at all? Have you ever seen this before?
No, this is very much out of my wheel. I mean, it looks cool, but if you can believe it, I haven't seen any of the Tron stuff.
Not like the movies or the
yeah, none of that. So, I mean, I know what a fucking light cycle is. I guess I played Ricochet. If Ricochet counts, I played Ricochet. But other than that, I mean, it looks neat. Yeah, you've kind of got the top, almost like a Diablo pulled out view, but then it looks like you're doing like some melee Hades type stuff.
Yep,
that could be cool.
Yep.
Was this like a mobile game or is this like a new game?
It's a new game, just came out this week. It's on all the big consoles and on the PC, and it's got a pretty decent combat engine. You've got like driving the light cycle, you've got attacking, you got throwing the disc, and then you've got a bunch of different upgrades that allow you to do different stuff. So yeah, and it's all set in a world called Vertical Slice, and so the idea of it being a time loop makes me wonder whether it's like literally like a vertical slice of a game, and this is what's going on in the code underneath it. But I don't know. Seems pretty cool though. Let's see. We also got the launch trailer for Lost in Random: The Eternal Die. Do you remember Lost in Random, the one with it was like the little lady, and then they had the dice, the like little dice with the legs and arms that walked around with them, and it would roll in combat. Nope.
No. Goodness, okay. No.
Fair enough. Well, this is a spin-off where you play as the villain from that game, and it is also a roguelike, like a Hades-style top-down action RPG, where you go through runs and you develop the story. What's that?
It's actually Karen.
Oh.
Like he's got coins on his eyes.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Did the previous Lost in Random play like this as well?
No, it was more of a like kind of behind the back third person adventure game where you were kind of going through the world, whereas this kind of the top down like big focus on action. So okay. But yeah, it's a standalone game and it came out last week. I don't know. I went to go play it. It's on Game Pass. I went to go play it and then didn't like how the frame rate kept juking on me, and so I put it on the back burner for a little while, but I don't know, maybe it runs well now. So
there we go.
Yep. Let's see. We got the Gex trilogy launch trailer. I actually put
Did
this
you
on.
play Gex?
I did not. I have no I have no love whatsoever for this particular character. How about you? You seem like you had more love than I did. So
I have the most cursed lineage with Gex, which is I only owned and played and finished Gex 3 Deep Cover Gecko.
Oh my goodness.
Co-starring one Pamela Anderson.
Is that who that was? I swear I was watching a video trying to find the UK track for it. It was just like, here's Gex talking to a live action blonde lady with the boobs out. So
that's Pamela Anderson. You respect her.
Okay. I wasn't saying anything bad about it. It was just like, oh right, this era of video games where your gecko had to be horny.
Gex, you've got to go to the desert sands and get all of the flies. Can I get my paycheck now? Like, yeah, I remember playing Gex 3 because I also had it as a child, so I got about none of the references, like Donner Party of One or Placid Lake, or no, sorry, I think it was Flaccid Lake.
Okay,
just all of that was shoo over the head.
Does this at all tempt you to go buy this collection?
Oh God, no.
Okay.
No.
Oh, okay.
A fool and his money are only parted ways once. I'm not doing that again.
Fair enough.
I will watch someone play. If you play it, I'll watch you play it.
I'm not gonna play. I got nothing. I got nothing for it.
Visit the biggest mound of poop. I don't know if you saw that. I just gave you a sense of the humor going on here.
Yeah. Oh no, that trailer when I watched it, it was like that action montage. Consistently spliced together with one-liners from Gex, and the longer the trailer went on, the more I was like, fuck you, no, I don't have any interest in this.
But now what if you heard those one-liners about 100 times? Because you were 12 years old and you couldn't make a jump.
I have even less interest. I'm not 12 years old. Right from there, we got the launch trailer for Fruit Bus, which is a game that came out a little while back, but is now on consoles. I've heard nothing but good stuff about this. Where you're driving, it's like you've got a food truck that sells like fruit salads, and so you park it and you sell stuff to these little animal people, but then during the day it's like you walk around and you collect fruit to make your little fruit salads with, and then you go back in the evening and sell the fruit salads to the little animal characters, and it's supposed to be like really charming and delightful and cozy and et cetera, so yeah. I bought this one. I haven't played it yet, but I'm kind of interested.
Okay. So it seems like exactly what it's on the tin. This one doesn't seem like this has got. It seems like the one where it doesn't have some secret dark turn at the end of the trailer.
Right. Yes, that it doesn't. It doesn't suddenly. It doesn't do the end of the Bug Snacks trailer where it's very very charming, and then what the fuck?
Okay, Fruit Bus.
Yep. And then last but not least, we got the launch trailer for Date Everything that we played earlier this week, where you've got a pair of glasses and you run around in this house and you shoot little love icons at everything in the house, and everything in the house turns into some sort of thing that turns into some character that you could talk to, from the refrigerator to the chairs to the doors to the bed, etc., etc. From your expression, Bryce, I'm thinking this might be one that you haven't run into yet.
I'd seen people talk about it. That was a dust bunny.
Yep.
I had seen people talk about it. I had not actually seen it in action, like any of the trailers and stuff. They drew a lot of fellas and gals. Huh.
They did. There's like 100 of them, and they've all got really they've got fun little pun names. They've all got little individual personalities and ways to date them. But you could do like, it goes in weird directions where, like, this is like, you could date the text box that the box that the dialogue comes into, so it gets like meta in certain places.
Okay.
Yeah,
that seems cute.
It seems very well written. The characters all seem very nice. We did a dojo for this, and then I did a Patreon video with my friend Matt, and we talked to a few of the folks in there. So it seems like a very clever concept. I went back to this developer to see if they had done anything else, and they've done a lot of stuff. None of it was as high profile as this. They got a lot of like voice actors to come in, famous voice actors to come in and do stuff. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hadn't seen the trailer for that, but I think the trailer kind of pushed me towards it, because I've played a lot of games kind of similar like this, like some of those Monster Prom games, or
love Monster Prom.
That class of 09. I mean, basically visual novels. We're describing visual novels.
Yeah. There's also a weird subplot in here where, like, you work for this you work for this evil company, and like they replace your like, the very first 15 minutes of the game is you losing your job to AI, and then a hacker sends you these glasses that belong to the company that fired you, and then you start dating all the stuff in your house, and then there's like a side plot where you're talking with your best friend over Discord about like these glasses you got that make the dishwasher want to have sex with you. And
that dishwasher was very evil, actually. You could just tell from the picture.
There's I don't know, it's a very charming game. I recommend everybody go check it out. It's very cheap, so yep. All right, and then let's wrap it up with a few announcements and such. So we got some more Game Pass announcements. So for the rest of the month, we got FBC Firebreak and Lost in Random, both came out. Rematch today also, but we also have, I'm not sure about these two, Volcano Princess and Against the Storm, but then later on in the month, we're getting the Warcraft 1 and 2 remastered, which I think look like garbage, and I hate them, and the Warcraft 3 Reforged, which has been, which was a terrible thing that apparently they fixed, but I don't give a shit, so.
Okay.
Also, Call of Duty World War II is coming out June 30th, as well as a few other things. Little Nightmares, Rise of Tomb Raider, Star Trekker.
Ooh, okay. Crash 4.
Yeah, Crash 4 is out right now. I thought that one was already on there, though. Or maybe not.
That might have been the Insane Trilogy.
Oh, yeah, it might have been one of the different ones. So... Yep, but
cool. Did FBC? I think FBC Firebreak is also like the PlayStation Plus game this month.
Yes,
I think they are probably making a good tack of trying to put that in front of a lot of people.
They definitely are. Yeah, in fact, when we did the dojos for it, I played it on the PC and Michael played it on the PS5. So we literally played like a co-op game where the two of us were playing simultaneously because I have all the stuff for it. Actually, speaking of FBC, there's a new roadmap for it because it's kind of been getting a little like panned. In fact, my friend John was just talking in the Discord about how they've lightened up. Like the game starts out in a way where it's not very fun, and then the way it's structured is like you play.
It gets fun.
Yeah, apparently it gets way more fun the more time you put into it. If you have two other friends that know how to use the tools in the game and you're willing to play with them, and it's like, man, that's a lot of fucking strings. But yeah, they're getting the roadmap basically says that in fall they're going to be adding some new game mechanics, a new job site, and some new rewards and stuff. And then in winter they're having another new job site, new enemies, new equipment, stuff like that. So they're going to be adding to it, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see whether I think it's sometimes hard if these games stumble on launch to keep the momentum going. So because it's been less than 2 days and they've already patched it to lighten up some of the rewards, to cut down some of the enemy damage, I think, and make things a little bit easier to play. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if it works.
Yeah, because the launch period is so precarious.
Yeah.
You've got to get it right because it's 2025. Like, Control was still a great game.
Yep.
I was not thinking about Control, and the last thing I was thinking about Control was wanting a multiplayer game.
Yes. Yeah. I give it 50-50 on this one because it really does play like it seems like Remedy is devoted to trying to make this thing work as hard as they can. But it also to me reeks of somebody that had an idea, that a first time developer doing something that is out of their wheelhouse, and that like I don't think they have the experience to know exactly what was going to make this really fun. Like for some reason the first level, I don't know, you have the 3 different tools and like they're not altogether super useful at first. Like the second level is the one with all the sticky notes on it, and on that one like the guy with the water cannon can wet down the sticky notes, and the person with the electric thing can like then zap them to like destroy a whole bunch of them at one time. But I don't know, I had a hard time. I was struggling a bit with trying to find the fun. But I've been doing that a lot this year, so that could just also be me.
Well, and they probably have to kind of make this work, right? They probably have more. I mean, not like any not like every live service game doesn't need to work, of course, but like Remedy probably really needs this to work.
They signed a deal with Annapurna a little while back that I think they are very good at raising external capital, like between the Epic Game Store and Annapurna and a few other places. I think that they've already said they're like deep into working on Control 2, and then I think they have the Max Payne remaster remakes that are coming out pretty soon that'll give them a boost no matter what. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see. Beat Saber is no longer going to be a thing on the PlayStation. All the updates for PS4, PS5, PSVR, Beat Saber are ceasing.
New
updates. Yes.
New updates. You can still play the game.
Yes. But yeah, it seems a little weird to me. Seems like why? How hard is it to do the content packs for PlayStation? Unless Meta is just throwing money at them to make it exclusive on their MetaQuest.
Does this include PSVR 2?
I don't think there is a specific PSVR 2 version of Beat Saber. No, wait. I know okay, no, that's not true. I know that Beat Saber works on the PSVR 2, but I don't know if there's like a separate version or if it's just the PS4 version running on the PS5.
Can you believe VR fucking failed again? Holy shit.
I mean, Beat Saber's like the one thing that everybody likes on VR, so taking that off, it's like sucks. Speaking of losing stuff...
They're not taking it off. No, they're not taking it off.
Yes,
it's
that's
still
correct.
there. They're not updating it.
That's correct. However... Epic Games delisted that Dark and Darker game from Iron Mace, the thing that's been in like legal limbo for a long time. They delisted it last year. This year, they're taking it out of your library and giving you a refund for the cost of the game, but not for any of the microtransactions that you spent. So, it's like the company that made this, they got smacked in Korean court for like basically Nexon sued them for saying that you took this idea and then you all quit and you spun off and you made your own game out of it. And the court said, no, you didn't do that, but you did take the ideas that you had developed while you were at Nexon and integrated them into this game, and technically that counts as like IP. So they were fined $6 million. Some part of this has led to them delisting this off of Epic, and then now they are actually taking it out. It's still available on Steam, and Steam doesn't usually take stuff out of your library, but I thought it was worth noting just because you don't normally see stuff taken out of your library. Like that's usually not a thing that happens. So
yeah, especially not for, well, I was gonna say not for legal issues.
No, I mean, like, even when, like, games like Deadpool or, like, some of the stuff that'll lose, like, the music rights, like, they might get delisted from the store, but they don't get taken out of your library, so...
Right. But I'm trying to think, because the court is basically saying that the game is infringing. The existence of the game is an infringement.
Right.
It's not like there was a deal to put the music in the game and that deal ran its course. The courts are saying that the existence of this game is an infringement.
Yes.
That's weird, first off. But yeah, I mean, even with who was it that had that issue with they were doing one of those H.P. Lovecraft games, and their publisher, or no, it was
Frogwares?
The Frogwares people, like the Sunken City. Like, even with that, they didn't rip that game out of people's libraries in the midst of all of their legal mumbo jumbo.
No, it's usually
this is strange.
Usually, I mean, the only thing that's close to this is what was that? There was the Sony PlayStation movies that you could buy that they then like reduced access to, so you couldn't have them even if you'd bought them. But yeah, I don't know. That's a bad precedent. Not a big fan. Not a big fan at all. So
did it actually? Oh, yeah, it went into early access 2023.
Yep.
Wow.
And then they even said, like, redstone shards or legendary status upgrades They can no longer purchase these, but then you wouldn't get a refund for those. We are unable to provide refunds on Redstone shards, which was like some kind of microtransaction thing. I don't know. I never played this. Like, it never seemed interesting enough to actually pull the trigger on. So,
well, and also it's an MMO.
Yes.
So is it even working?
Right.
Does it even work? How long? At some point, they're going to take the fucking game down, so you might as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's gonna another weird one for the preservationists.
Exactly.
Put another chapter in the book. Insert name of published archivists.
Speaking of game preservation, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake is still in progress. We've heard nothing, but recently the team put out a post on X to basically say, yeah, we're still making this game. It's still being made. We're still making it. Thanks for sticking with us. And it's like, how long does it fucking take to remake? I could have remade Sands of Time by this point.
It's Ubisoft, man. It's The amount of fuckery going on in there must be legendary. Like, it's fucking Ubisoft on a remaster title of a fucking C franchise.
If I had known this when they announced the original remaster before that team in India got taken off the project, I could have learned how to program and done the entire remaster by myself at this point if they had paid me.
What's the next? Can we go to the next story? The next story is the headline that shocked me.
Silent Hill 2 movie is going to be coming out January 2026.
I had no idea that they made a. I like the Silent Hill movie.
Yeah,
I like that movie.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is it? It is. The Christopher Gans, the same guy who made the weirdly good Silent Hill film. Yes. Okay.
Yes. Yep.
I'm down.
It's all right. I mean, this was announced a little while back, and it's basically they're making Silent Hill 2 the movie, and it's already all filmed. Like, it wrapped filming in 2023, so it's probably almost all the way done.
Oh, no.
There hasn't been a trailer or anything for it, but it's got a release date January of 2026, which is also not a good sign when the studio's like, put the horror movie out in January of 2026.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, Bryce, I'm going to be shocked if the Silent Hill 2 insert thing here turns out to not be as good as people expected it to be. Yeah.
Also, I haven't played Silent Hill 2, so I'm going to let the viewers fill in the blanks on that one, I guess.
Yeah. You just really like the original one, the original Silent Hill.
Yeah,
movie.
The movie and the game. That game was
the OG.
The OG game, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Here, let's go. Let's cut a few of these. This is an interesting one. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is going to be screened at a film festival. Somehow they're putting together a cinematic cut of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 in a way that will make it narratively understandable enough to be played and considered at a Czech film festival that is happening later this year. I would like to see that because Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 actually had some really good writing and some really good story. It's the reason I kept playing it. I have absolutely no idea how in the world you would boil that 200-hour video game into a 2-hour anything.
Well, first off, you cut out the fucking 190 hours of chores. I mean, that's going to be the first move.
I only spent like 25 hours in that game doing peasant chores. Thank you very much.
This is cool to me. There are plenty of people who go and make like movie cuts of games on YouTube, and it's a good amount of work that goes into it. If you think of editing as a part of the creative process, then absolutely, I think putting something together like this has some merit in a festival, especially if presumably it is good, right? Presumably its selection in a film festival gives some amount of weight.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how long it is. I mean, and also
will it tie into the first game? Because it's a continuation of the story from the first game, right? Yeah,
but it sets itself up at the beginning so that you don't have to do that. Like, you just start out with, it's you and fucking what's his face, your buddy, and you're just gonna go. You're doing this medieval chore and you get fucked up by bandits, then you got to kind of everything gets taken from you and you got to come back from scratch and you got to win the day. But there's all these like twists and turns and stuff. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how much they can pack in. And I'd be interested to know if I can ever watch this. If it'll ever be available for me to rent on VOD, the Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, the VOD track. But, yep.
To movie cut. I'm going to see. Maybe they already beat you to it. 25 hours, 20 hours, 8 hours.
We're gonna screen this.
2.5 hours. Hey, this one might be from Knob Play.
Okay, there you go. There you go. Okay. Yeah. And then last but certainly not least, this is one of the strange stories that happens this year. Bryce, Zelda Breath of the Wild is currently #1 on Metacritic's Best Games of 2025 because it came out for the Switch 2, which was technically a separate entry on Metacritic that has a release date of 2025, and so it now tops the charts, knocking off a bunch of the other stuff that came out this year.
Wait, did they re-release Breath of the Wild?
They did an update for, I believe they re-released the Nintendo Switch 2 edition of Breath of the Wild was a physical thing that you could buy.
I see.
So technically it was a new version. So yeah, Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom have now knocked Clair Obscur off as the #1 highest rated game of 2025, which is... it's kind of some bullshit. A little bit of some bullshit. So,
well, look, thankfully, no one cares what Metacritic has to say about this. At the end of the year, that will get washed away.
Yeah. I use Metacritic all the time. In fact, the news story that I read...
Don't lie to people. That's not a real website.
Said that, it knocked that 100-line defense game off of like the top 20.
Not the top 20.
Not the top 20 of Metacritic.
No!
Oh no. How could we ever return from that?
You're not an open critic yet? You're not an open critic, man?
Absolutely not. Are those user reviews? I don't fucking trust users. I want critic reviews, not user reviews.
And brother, anybody can be a critic. You need a blog. You need a blog and a domain name.
Yeah, well, if you got those, then I trust you more than just some random jackhole on Steam giving it a thumbs down because it's locked at 60 frames per second.
Open Critic is not Steam reviews, man.
This is Open Critic. Okay, I'll check it out. All right, and with that, we're done. You can tell we're getting real punchy here at the end. Bryce, where can the people find you when you're not over here helping me go over all the news?
I got 2 things for you today. We got a new season of Marbles going, marbles.win. It's the website, twitch.tv/Brycast is where I stream on Thursdays. We're starting an hour earlier, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific.
Okay.
Join us. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours of some cooperative marbles races that we do with everyone who joins us live. So check that out. And then check out the new podcast that Jeff and I just finished.
Yeah.
Two Tusks, wherever you get great podcasts. All 4 episodes are out now. That last episode is great. It's like jumbo sized. And if you've been following any of my socials, I've been flooding the internet with clips about all these great classic rock stories from Fleetwood Mac's Tusk. So check out 2 Tusks. Thank you.
And I'm actually going to take my Patreon time to say, yes, go check out 2 Tusks because that was like 2 months worth of work. I listened to a lot of Fleetwood Mac. I got all my opinions out there. I was waking up on Saturdays and I was going down. I was recording, and everybody should watch it. And go watch them on YouTube as well. Pump those numbers up on YouTube. You get to watch Bryce and I sit at a table. You can see me with my trusty Starbucks every single week.
When this podcast pops off, I'm really gonna have to take some licks for how into the music I got on some of those tracks.
Well,
now that I look back at it, I realize I was really putting my whole ass into some of the listening.
Well, I feel bad. I didn't know that it was going to be a video, and I wasn't putting any of my ass into it. I was just kind of like tapping my lip with a pen.
I couldn't tell you, though. I couldn't tell you and ruin the illusion.
It had to be a surprise. Yes, go check out 2 Tusks. The links are down below, and then have yourselves a wonderful week. But the podcast is over. Go out and